Well, welcome in, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We've got a special episode today where we decided to forego some game practice this week, and instead we're going to interview the Boyle 3 champion and are also a member of our team, Erik, who top 16th. So I get the pleasure of doing so since I have been unseated as champion of the Boyle. But first, before we jump into it, we want to do a quick word from our sponsors. First up, we've got Heavy Play. Go to heavyplay.com/monolith or use code monolith when checking out for 10% off your products. Been using this since we sent it to us. This stuff is pretty awesome. Can't recommend it enough. You guys should definitely give it a shot. It's all, of course, now it is being used by the champion, the Boyle champion himself. So definitely go check that out. We're also going to be at Misplay on the Lake, April 18th. There'll be a few members of the team out here, so should be a really cool event. This should make it to diamond level by the time of the episode. If not, definitely by the time we actually show up to the event. We all know how Magic players like to wait till the last second. But should be another really awesome event. So if you need diamond points, definitely come out for some pretty fierce competition. We're also sponsored, of course, by Animal House. You can go to Animal House TCG player, which we'll have in the description. You can use this link to buy all your Magic card singles. They've got a pretty decent and extensive selection, so definitely check it out. And also join us for the Horizon event, which we will be sending some players to, also at Animal House in South Carolina. So definitely make sure to check that out. And then always thank you to all of our other sponsors. We couldn't do this without you guys, and we really appreciate it. So thank you for everything. All right, so with that being said, we want to kind of go over our experiences from the Boyle. Definitely want to hear from the champion himself and from our top 16 finalists. And, just want to hear about you guys' experience. So, Champ, you want to lead us off?
Sure. I was going to say, we had the team event the day before. That was definitely a little bit more of a relaxed event, kind of just showcasing the players and showcasing the format that we all truly love in a very unique rule set. Dallas ended up taking it down, so big props to him. He took it on for the team. And then going on to day one, we did player meeting. I got potted into pod 3 for player meeting, and then round 1 gets posted. And I get potted into pod 64, way at the back. And notably, I get potted with one of our teammates, Lily. So that's a great start to the day. We all kind of sit down, and immediately I'm just like, I propose that we can just draw. As I say, it'll get us all out of here. Don't really want to stick any of us in the perpetual 3 pod and really just kind of ruin our run based on that. It was unfortunate, too, because it sounded like there was a player joining at the last minute, but they were too late to join our game, and we're just giving a match loss. A little foreshadowing and a little spoilers for the kind of event to come is that me, Lily, and the other player that was in our pod with us, it was all a good decision for us to draw that game, because as unfortunate as it was, Lily did get bubbled out at 17th, but I think without that draw, her whole run might have been a little bit different. And then the other gentleman that was in our 3-pod game was actually in my top 16 game. And he was talking to me about it, and he's like, yeah, I probably wouldn't have been in this position without that draw, too. So that was just it felt like a good decision, and it felt like the right decision for many reasons, not even just competitively. So after we kind of got that out of the way, basically my round 1, or that I kind of treated her my round 2, I also get paired with one of our teammates, Erik.
How can I respectfully flick you off on camera? Just do it.
Guessing a rough game for you, Erik?
It was, Zeke can elaborate more on it, but the game diluted very quickly and evolved very quickly, because Zeke is in Seed 1. I'm Seed 2, so I'm like, okay, we're cooking. We're fine.
No. We were Seed 3 and 4.
Oh, never mind. We were next to each other. Ignore me.
Yeah, we were just next to each other. No, I was looking at the notes, too, because I was like, I need to look at the notes or otherwise.
Yeah, I was literally pulling up my Play Nice, sponsor of Monolith, I'm good at my job.
I still need to upload mine, actually.
I haven't either. I'm just
Yeah.
looking at photos. So I just
I have all my stuff in here, so give me 2 seconds. But anyway, we get potted, and I'm like, shit.
we're both like,
Shit.
It's just like a local weekend for y'all, right?
Yep,
Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
And when it happens at our locals, we also go, shit.
Yeah, we don't want to see each other in Swiss.
But I keep a hand that is like, I forget if it was a 6 or a 7 card hand, doesn't matter, it's a turn 1 fish, and I'm like, okay, I'm cooking, this is fine. But then Zeke is going right before me, and he goes, land, rock, something else, wristic, and I go, fucker.
Even worse, it was a gemstone Ristix. It was only 2 spells.
Yeah, exactly. So then we pass through the turn rotation, and the farm player who's in second seat, on his turn 2, plays a Ristic Study, and I'm like, okay, I'm fine with this, we'll hang. And Zeke has the audacity to say, all right, I'm going to exile 2 blue cards and cast Commandeer on your Ristic Study. And I go, fuck.
I'm like, we can definitely hang.
Yeah. So now Zeke has 2 Ristics and I have a fish, and there's no other draw engines on the field, and the game really doesn't need to be elaborated on that far from there. It's just Zeke is solidified under double draw engine for like a 4 or 5 turn game.
I will say, like, Erik did navigate that game in the best of his ability, in the sense that he talked with the other 2 players, and very much they were on the same page that we need to slow our game plan down. We need to pay for these Ristics. We need to do the best we can so we don't just get buried under advantage. Mm-hmm. And it was just really unfortunate that, like, without the Ristics being fed, I still went into my turn and, like, developed Biofam, Thrasios, Gaia's Cradle. So, like, the Ristics didn't even really matter for the most part. They were just kind of the icing on top.
Yeah. There's also a very important turn cycle where I'm going to set up a Necro push, but Zeke very adequately identifies kind of what's happening and has the audacity to, in response to one of his draw triggers, or something like that, Noxious Revival his Commandeer back on top of his library. And I go, I hate it here.
Erik is set up at this point with I don't remember the order of it, but it was, you basically set up a Squelcher. I believe tried to bounce.
Squelcher Bobble combo.
Yeah, and then you tried to bounce my Ristic, and I ended up
for clarity, the commandeered Ristic, the one that belongs to the farm player, so farm can establish and be a little more in the game at parity.
Yep. And you try to do that, and I both Talon Gates the Squelcher, and then Mental Misstep the bounce. And then you're like, okay, cool. Now here's this bobble. And I was like, okay. You can have the bobble. And then I think that's when I noxious the Commandeer back. I'm like, okay, I'll take this Commandeer. And you're like, all right. And then you're like, Commandeer this. And you put a Twister on the stack.
And I put a Time Twister on the stack. And I'm like, Commandeer this. Fucker.
Notably, still early in the event, I throw a Mind Break Trap at it.
And I go, bobble trigger.
Pass. Yeah, exactly.
Bobble trigger. His shit gets countered. And he's like, we have a whole judge call. Like, did I cast this? He did.
Yeah.
He cast it. But yeah, the game just evolves from there. It isn't. Zeke is just under a pile of advantage, and no one can really do anything about it. And at one point in the game, he establishes something, and it's not a definitive win. But he looks at me and he's like, I'm gonna do the thing. I'm like, okay, do the thing a little bit. And he does it a little bit, and eventually I just look at my opponents and I'm like, guys, I've seen this enough. We can just scoop whenever we want. This doesn't get better.
Was it the Aboro but doesn't have the Talon Gates line yet or something?
I don't even remember. I had the Talon Gates.
Something like that. It wasn't definitive yet.
Just be manually storming.
Yeah, exactly.
And then notably too, when I get the Commandeer back and you Time Twist, You flashed me Necropotence instead. You're like, this is what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Commandeer, good card.
Commandeer, good card. Circumstantial, good card, but good card when it's good card.
Yeah.
Super quick, just so my round 1 doesn't get buried. We drew. It was a draw to time. But the Iron Man player that was in my round 1 ended up being in the top 16. So our round 1 draw was also beneficial to both of us, which was good.
I played against him in my round 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one who turned 2.
He nutted it. He went crazy in your game. In our game, it was just like turbo stacks.
Yeah, he didn't really do much else.
I think notably they walked over for that round 1 too, and it looked like you had Necropotence. Tried to go for it, and you just got varianced, if I wasn't mistaken.
Yes, correct.
Which is
I
unfortunate.
had Necro and a Bobble, and I went for a full send and got hard varianced and wasn't able to convert. And I was like, interesting. Moving on.
I also think it really just speaks on that Roxai is a deck that you really need to have a strong mental on, and you really do. You personally do. Because that happened to you in your round 1, and you were like, okay, we go next. You weren't even phased in the slightest. You know what I mean?
Nah.
And that's a point where a lot of players might just be done for the rest of the event. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Whenever I coach on the deck or offer any insight, I always tell people that you have to have a rock solid mental, because you can do everything right and then just eat it to the way the deck works. But anyway, that's it. That's that.
How'd your round 1 and 2 go, Jordan?
Not good. Not good. Turns out Trick Mind is a really stupid Magic card.
No, the Boil 2 champion.
Bro, I mean, I don't even remember what happened in round 1, because round 2 was just so frustrating. I think round 1 was just like, oh, no, I remember. Round 1, I was very clear in the driver's seat in this game. Felt really good about where I was and everywhere. And then the Dog Thrust player had the luckiest Thrasios rips of all time. Because I think one of them was ripped into a Seedborn Muse, and I was like, great, that sucks. And then the next one was like rip into the Psych Rift after the Seedborn had already resolved. So I was like, great, all my shit's getting bounced. And then going into my turn, one of his last rips, one of his last rips was like a High Fate Trickster, and so he's able to High Fate Trickster out, I think, if I remember right. And then he still rips out the Oboro during my turn. And he couldn't win, he didn't have Cradle. But he had just enough mana to bounce the frickin' Ottawar on his board and stop my Brewmaster on the stack. And I'm just sitting there like, I'm going to drag this turn out, because like we're getting towards time, and I'm like, I'm going to drag this turn out and try to present a win, or I'm drawing. Like, I can't untap, so I'm going to like stick win after win after win and hope I can get there. And if not, then I draw. Like, I'm the draw king, apparently. If you haven't seen the rankings.
Yeah, true.
8th all time in draws.
Draw rate all time.
And this is why, because TNT can never win. We just draw. So yeah, that was fun. It was a frustrating game because I really thought I like played really well, and to go from literally no board, it was like 3 lands and a Cradle, to presenting I think 2 or 3 wins in the same turn and getting all of them stuffed one after another was pretty nuts. But what can you do against a Seedborn and a guy who's been drawing off Seedborn for a whole bunch of turns? So, oh well. Yep. Game 2 though was the question. Yeah, or hang out and draw in this case.
Hang out and draw.
Game 2 was the most frustrating though, because I felt like I had played really, really well. I think there's like 2 frustrating elements that happened in the game. One was I passed turn with like 35 minutes left, and I never saw my next turn. And that was a little frustrating because the Lords were not developed enough to take 35 minutes to get around the table. But there was too much discussion that was happening during the Rog Ishai's turn, to where it just dragged all the time out. Because he was trying to push an Underworld Breach, and I don't know why. It felt like, not like anyone was slow playing, but it just felt like everything got bogged really badly down, and we just couldn't get anywhere, to a point where I was like, alright, I guess I'm just never seeing another turn. I was still set up to win at instant speed, and like 20 some mana off of a mixture of Enduring Vitality and Cradle, and I had Bomb Answer. So I was like, I'm going to make a lot of Thrasios activations here. Freaking the Malcolm Timna player ahead of me ends up trick binding me on my first Thrasios activation, and I could not figure out a way around it. I had a handful of interaction. Like felt like I was in a good spot. I just don't know how you get around a trick bind without silence, right? Like
Spoiler. It wasn't your only trick bind of the event.
Bonk.
No, it was not. I got trick binded twice. What the? Let's take a pause for a second. Who is running this card anymore, right? I have seen this card be nonsensical now, not once, not twice, but 3 separate times, and has been responsible for me losing or drawing. I'm not even losing, right? I'm drawing games because of this stupid Magic card. Happened to me at the Mid-Season Invitational as well, where they were able to come together to make a deal to get the guy to cast his pact, and then they trick bind his pact. And I was like, what? And without it, the guy wasn't going to cast pact. Like, I was going to win. Actually, I think it was Jaywood, hilariously enough. They weren't even going to... They were going to pack my Brewmaster, and I was going to, I was going to win that game. And instead, they agreed to let him pact, and they'd go get trick bind, and I was like, that's wild. That is a wild deal. And literally, without that card, I win that game. So 3 times now, that stupid card has come out and messed with me.
Stifle, but don't touch it.
Well, and it's uniquely bad for my deck more than most other decks because any Breach deck doesn't care. But every single win condition in my deck can be hit with a trick bind. Thoracle, Emil lines, Cloud of Fairies lines, Aboro lines, Snap Ewit lines, Brewmaster line, like all of them. Every single one. There's no way around it in my deck. Breach.
I think there's many ways around it. Unless you can... Well, I think that's right. Didn't we talk a little bit about this one? And it was you were at instant speed.
No, I never had the flash. That was the issue.
Yeah,
I ended up.
Also, Trick Bind has split seconds, so you can't respond to it anyway.
Yeah, it wasn't about responding to it, but like I think you're only out when we kind of talked about it afterwards. You just didn't have one of the pieces you needed. It was basically like crop running for Otawara, returning Otawara via Aboro, and then bouncing your own Thrasios and recasting it.
Yeah, I was missing instant speed. That was like the biggest issue. With instant speed, I had a Culling Grit in hand, so I just Culling Grit my Thrasios, recast Thrasios, and yeah, my activations are worse, but I had the Aboro, so because I corded for Aboro, Thrasios goes down to the Trick Bind. I have infinite mana, but nothing to do with it now. But if I have instant speed, then I Culling Grit, and we're good. And then recast that. So, yeah, that was frustrating, but what can you do? I hate that damn card. My silence should have resolved. They were fighting my silence on the stack. Yeah, and I was like, guys, I'm trying to be helpful here. I'm just trying to make sure that silence resolves, and then we can.
I'm just trying to win the game.
Well, I was doing it
next.
I was doing it in response to like a breach, maybe or something. Like,
yeah, something.
Yeah.
Then they wised up and we're like, wait.
Wait a minute.
Like I'm helping.
Yeah, I'm trying to help us go to the next game.
Like, you sure have a lot of mana up for trying to resolve a silence.
I'm just saying, I was trying to help end the game, right? Like, that's what we're all here to do. We're all here to see this game end. In some way, shape, or form.
Help reduce your draw rate.
Oh, my God. I'm just not going to draw anymore. I'm going to switch to Rock Set with you, Eric. And that way...
Do it.
One way or the other, I will not draw games anymore.
Game done.
Or
my
just
win
come
rate
join
may
me.
suffer.
Just come join me and play the faster Thrasios deck, you know?
I've been tempted. I keep looking at it and I'm like, maybe I should. They get to run honors.
Zero good.
Zero broken.
Dude,
Zero broken.
I think I was reading somewhere. They said 6 of the 10 best decks in the format right now either run Rog or Timna.
Cards are 0. Good.
Cards are 0.
But what about Rog Timna?
I played against one of those.
Yeah.
We'll get there. Spoilers.
Spoilers? Alright, that's a good segue to move to round 3 then.
That's a great segue to move to round 3.
Did you play against the Rog Timna in round 3?
No.
Okay,
My round 3 was against Evan on Kinnan, or Freedom Waffle, another Kinnan player, and an Atali. What I remember of this game, Atali mulls to 3 and still manages to Atali on turn 3, which we're like, oh my god, all right, fine. But I think I had like a fish in my opener or something like that. It ended up, the game's not that interesting. Neither of the Kinnons really did that much. Atali on 3 kind of whiffed, like didn't do that much, but fed my fish. And then the cards from my fish turned into a breach win, like a breach win the following turn rotation. Really not that exciting, just not a lot of interaction. So I took that one.
Nice.
Yep.
My round 3 was, what seat was I? Oh, I had that was my first seat. I had a first seat game. It was me, Rockdrass, and then it was Elsha, the Infinite, and Pigeon was playing Elsha, the Infinite, and he is the homie. They got their YouTube channel, MGT Basics, I believe. But yes, always a pleasure kind of shooting the shit with him. I don't really play with him that much in person, and that was like our second game playing in person, which is just super odd because we've hung out, we've played other things together, and just never really played like a real game of CD, like competitive CDH in a tournament. We did play the day previously in the team event, but that was different just due to the tokens and the general vibe of it in general. But he was on Elsha, and then we had a Timna Malcolm player and a Dargo Timna player. Both great people to play with as well. It was a really fun, engaging game. It was definitely a mid-range slog game where I believe at one point there was 4 or 5 different ranger captains. I think Pigeon had just one, and then the Timna Malcolm player had 4 rangers at one point. So they could just they used one of they used one of them in my upkeep at one point just to silence me, and I was like, cool, doesn't matter. I was just gonna play Thrasios and pass anyways. But like they just had so many ranger captains they could just crack them whenever they wanted to. I kept a pretty good 7. It was my second 7, but it was Ancient Tomb, Fetch, Chatterstorm, Biofam, Noxious Revival, Valley Floodcaller, Crop Rot, and so I was like, cool, this hand's sweet. I'm going to slow roll it, and so I can turn 2, storm off, make a bunch of squirrels, have a Guy's Cradle, lots of green mana. This will be cool. So turn 1, I land pass. Turn 2, I just top deck Rhystic Study. I'm like, cool. I guess our plans changed. All right, here's, because I had Ancient Tomb. So you go Ancient Tomb, Rhystic Study, pass. Turn 3 rolls around. I get to, before even turn 3 rolls around, I get probed by Pigeon. So immediately the jig is up. I'm like, can't, they're going to know I'm storming off. And I believe at this point I had drawn into Earthcraft as well. So the hand is just cooking. Like, it's just exactly where it wants to be. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I either make squirrels, I don't remember the course of the event. I either take a turn, make squirrels, and then go back around, and I get silenced. Pigeon just straight up silences me at one point. I think my Rhystic Study gets bounced, and then, or my Rhystic Study gets blown up by the Timna Dargo player, and then I Noxious back to the top, and then I don't even get to develop at all, and I get silenced in my upkeep, and I'm like, can we talk about this? Can I play some stuff? Pigeon's not letting me have it. He's like, no, you can't do it. He's like, you can show me what you want to play, and I'm like, no, just let me play like one spell. And he's like, not happening. I'm like, all right. I eat the silence. Not mad to see the silence go either in a lot of ways. I have a Valley Floodcaller though, so it really doesn't change the course of things in its entirety. I basically get to end step before my turn, Crop Rot, Valley Floodcaller, Earthcraft, and Rhystic, all before I end tap anyways. And that game just really turns into a high resource game where, like I said, multiple ranger captains. I don't remember what Pigeon had, but he had quite a board of rocks and Elsha things, and at one point had copied the Valley Floodcaller when I think he put a copy on the stack and be like, oh, another ranger captain. And I'm like, I think this is Valley Floodcaller, but I'm not going to interact with it anyways. And then he gets a Valley Floodcaller. and kind of sets up, because that's what Elsha wants. It wants instant speed, it wants a reducer, it wants its commander, and then it's just you're cooked without realizing you're cooked kind of situation. So definitely like a very high resource game, like kind of shaping up, posturing up where me and Pigeon are going to have to go back and forth. But due to these 4 Ranger captains under the Timna Malcolm player, they get back to their turn and they decide to start cracking Ranger captains. So we're like, oh, they're going for it. And it's very awkward because they have multiple. Pigeon has 1. We have to deal with all of the problems because we understand that, like, we crack one, he cracks another, he maybe goes on top. He's got it all. Like, he has so much stuff. I think my Ristic study is stolen at this point, and then I flash in a fish. So we're kind of trading resources back and forth to try to keep dealing with this player. And so the mid-range log just keeps going on. We eventually get down to the last Ranger Captain being cracked, and then I'm like, okay, it's kind of setting up in a position where I think that I can put something together, because at this point I've drawn into the Breach combo, and I'm like, maybe I can put something together. I have Shifting Woodlands out. I know that there's multiple ways that I can go about this and try to really shove this Breach if I need to. The game goes on. There's at one point where I don't remember the exact course of events of how I got the Breach into Yard or the course that I went about it, but I believe I played the LED, cracked it, and then did the Shifting Woodlands things via the Breach.
Shifting Woodlands Breach.
The game is getting so close to time that once I've developed the Breach, and Pigeon's also developed a 1 ring at this point at instant speed and some other things, I'm just trying to quickly play through this Breach line as fast as I can and use this as fast as I can. So, because we're getting closer to time, and I don't want to just draw this game due to time, where basically I'm in a position to try to shove this win attempt. I make a huge error on my part because I'm trying to go fast, and I really should be slowing down and be more conscious of the cards I'm exiling. Because of the 1 ring, I'm not fully conscious, and I exile the Green Sun Zenith, which notably I need to kill Pigeon with, because I can't Brain Freeze him anymore. I can't Bolt Loop him anymore, and I need to Green Sun Loop Fairy Mastermind once the other 2 players are dead to actually take him out due to the 1 ring. So I do that, and immediately I realize that I'm like, crap. I'm like, all right, well, I still got to play through this. Let's see where this goes. Maybe I can figure something out, but due to time, I don't think it's going to happen anymore. Notably, I'm talking with Pigeon after too, and he's like, yeah, I made an error too. When you went for the Breach line, I could have transmuted for a Tormund script and then just completely took your Breach out of it. So we both made small errors at that point.
Crazy.
Yeah, right?
Tormund script crazy.
Yeah, we were just going so fast, and that was like the big error that I made, that I felt like if I didn't have that, then I can just explain the loop and present the loop. It still works. Even if we're quite close to time. Notably, too, I'm sandbagging a Louise sacrifice this whole time, because I'm like, there's 1 Ranger Captain cracked, and that's the only thing stopping me. We can get through that. But yeah, it was a hell of a game. It's one of those situations where I'm happy we don't do the past 20 minutes extra time, but part of me does really miss those really mid-range games where you get to have a very complicated mid-range. But I'm very happy with the way that things are, and Ristics and Smothering Tides and Cabbagemans, that we were away from that, because events would go easily 2-3 more hours longer, and we don't need that.
Yep.
And even with that being said, our rounds for this tournament, every round lasted like 40 minutes overtime between time extensions and that 20 minutes. So think if there wasn't like that block, just how late these events would go, of like 1-2 hours over in Swiss, which would be insane.
Yeah. We remember the Boyle 2, funny enough, right?
Yep.
Where there was like a 2.5 hour over, where we were all just kind of like, what the heck is going on? And the game was still going.
In the winning end.
Was it a winning end?
Yeah, it was the last round, because it was notably the 2 games that went on for like 2 hours over or longer over was my winning in from last year, And Lily's winning in from last year.
Oh, that's right, because Lily's took forever. Because the guy Angels graced her, so she had to figure out the way through it.
You're the problem.
That wasn't me that game. We had a Nezahal in the pod. An actual factual
They're
Nezahal.
the problem. Maybe they're the problem.
I know Lily took forever because she got Angels graced on the final turn, so she was having to like take her time to work through how to beat an Angels grace. And that was before I think we all ubiquitously knew about the bouncing commander thing. No one knew about that ruling yet. So this was in that era of like having to find a new way through. Turns out Blind of Beating's good magic card.
Exactly.
Well, Zeke, you said how you were cooking all weekend and it gave you all the cards you wanted. My experience in round 3 was the opposite of this.
Oh, no.
Well, yes and no. I got everything I wanted. Like, Oscillate Pride can be a really gross magic card when played early. So, like, turn 1, it's great. Turn 2, it's okay. Turn 3 on, it sucks. But I had one that was turn 1 into turn 2 Tymna, into turn 3 Springheart and Tuco onto more cats. And I was like, and we were going to make a lot of cats this game. And then turn 4 would have been the Cradle turn. And then we would have gone nuts. Instead, my cat gets Metal Mist up on turn 1. And I was like, well. Not only did it set me.
No.
This was my weekend, right? I should have known. And I said this at the end there. When round 7 concluded. We'll get there. But I should have said, after the first trick bind, this wasn't my weekend. After the second trick bind, I should have just called it quits there and stopped trying. And then the cat getting, and what blew my mind was that a deafening silence had come down right before my turn, and the player who had the mental misstep was a Rock Dice player, and he's like, deafening silence doesn't matter to me. And I was like, I get that to a certain degree, but there's a Rog Ishai player, and there's a Rocco, and the Rocco's the one who played the deafening silence, and I was like, I'd almost rather them not have the deafening silence if I'm in the Rock Dice's shoes, to let the Rog Ishai control them and find my own path forward. Instead, it creates the stalemate type of games that ended draws, which is what happened. No one could get through the deafening silence after a while.
Whoa!
I was gonna ask what the pod was, because deafening silence, like Rogtaz can play through deafening silence okay and fine, but if the Rocco is the player that's doing it, they're gonna go faster than anyone else. It's not like a deck that's using it to slow down everyone else. Rocco is using it to both slow down people and you make it harder for you to stop their push, right?
And you're kind of banking on everyone having constant creature interaction. And even if I had 2 pieces, I can't follow it up with my second one, or my silence, gets stopped, or it doesn't work. I thought it was a weird play, and I thought that's why my cat was basically home free. Like, if we're gonna let deafening silence resolve, we're gonna let anything resolve in this pod. I don't know. I feel like most players, when they play a card that's a stacks piece, either one, they're misplaying pretty hard into it, but two, if they're more experienced, then that stacks piece is giving them some kind of advantage. And that deafening silence was definitely giving the Rocco advantage, because we basically spent the whole game trying to slow down the Rocco player.
True.
And even then, I don't think I'm firing a mental misstep at your cat.
I was also in seat 4, on top of all of that, just to add insult to injury. And he literally said, I know how crazy that card gets. And I was like, eventually, brother, where's a Rocco that you're wasting a misstep on me? No,
that's okay. That's gonna be me next weekend.
It got
my birds is gonna get bolted all over the place.
I guess. Well, I didn't realize how hard it was gonna set me back too, because the hand was definitely kept off the strength of how good my Tymna attacks were gonna be. And I was thinking with Rog Ishai, they're not gonna cast a lot of creatures, and Rog Das does cast a lot of creatures, but they're not gonna be blocking a lot of first striking cats. And Rocco, I don't. Sometimes Rocco can, but a lot of times they don't as well. They just kind of go fast. So I thought this is a great hand for a Tymna board where I'm in the 4th seat. I'm going to be developing a little slower. Let Rogthras kind of be the boogeyman and Rocco be the boogeyman. Let Rog Ishai control them and find my window. And it's because I didn't even get to swing Tymna until turn 3. And this is supposed to be, a turn 2 attack with my cat, make more cats, get more Tymna attackers. By the time I got to turn 3, I could only swing Tymna. And that was just and then I think because of the deafening silence, the Ishai had come out, so then there was nothing to even swing at. So I was so far set back in this game that I had no chance of ever coming back. I just ended up keeping all my interaction up, and then I just forced a draw late when it was like the Broncos started pushing again, and everyone looked at me, and I was like, all right, well, I guess. Sure, why not? What else am I doing in this game?
That's my favorite. The Thrasios decks, people will kick your teeth and they're like, oh no, this is how we stop the deck. And then the game goes on and they go, we can't stop this. Do you got anything for it? And it's like, brother.
Not to derail even more, but that's kind of the thing with the Cradle decks, is like every piece is the interaction point. Like it's not the most like threatening deck in the world. Like you sit down at a bun and you're like Rogdrass, Rogzai, Etali, Kinnan, or whatever the fuck, and you're not saying, yes, Rogdrass, scariest thing ever.
Maybe you weren't. You might be now.
Yeah, now, fuck that deck. I can't wait to sit down in that pun and go, yes, this guy's the bad guy. This guy's the Boil 3 champion. Get his ass.
It doesn't work anymore. I can't say Rogdrass good guy, Rogzai bad guy.
No, Rogdrass bad guy. Rogdrass bad guy.
Rogdrass worst guy.
Rogdrass worst guy. Rogzai good guy. I play blue cards. I play interaction to stop Rogdrass. But every card in the deck is a piece that progresses you towards the end goal, so every card is unironically an interaction point, and it's just a matter of where other people want to interact with the deck. Because if you say, nope, that's not that big of a deal to everything, then eventually it's an insurmountable advantage. And if you say, no, that's not that big of a deal to the wrong thing, then you're just fucked for the game. So it's a weird deck when it comes to like threat assessment and pinch point assessment, whereas with a lot of like the Grixis or Grixis Plus strategies, you say, Necro bad, and it's really easy.
It doesn't help that Thrasios is, a lot of times if we're doing the Thrasios spins, all of our interactions heads up. So you can just bully the Thrasios player, because I know you have it.
Yep.
Correct. But that is one thing that I want to shout out Zeke for a little bit, is he's very good about that interaction point, because rather than letting one of the play patterns that he does all the fucking time, he takes this piece of interaction, he slides it across the table, he says, don't do it, I'll use it, and then we won't have it, and then people without a lot of reps or experience go, you're so right, bestie, I won't do anything like that.
And even then, like, there's situations where it's like, it's not so cut and dry of like, don't do it. Sometimes it'll be like, hey, let's be reasonable about this. I want you to have your thing. I just want your thing to be at its full level, right? Like, like a Necro or a Heuristic Study in a lot of ways. Like, I want you to have your Heuristic Study, but how about let's make it an Esper this game? It's an Esper Sentinel. Like, you can still have your draw, but like, I just don't want to get buried under you. And so, like, the deck is a very lot of like, I have to be giving with my info, or like you said, I flip up the interaction, and like some people are like, oh, use your thing. You have a mind break trap. Use your thing, and it really takes the political like point. You have to be like, I understand, but this is a high value interaction. We need to save this for later, and it is true. But at the same time, getting the interaction out of hand is good. But it's like, Rogdrass is just full of in every situation, shape, or form, like you said, you kick it in its teeth early. It can't help you later when you're actively losing. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenarios. And the deck is just full of them. Did you run into much control, Erik? Because you were on the turbo deck, so I was curious about that.
Let me check my stuff. I didn't run into that much control, but I did run into a little bit of control. The most notable control that I ran into was in my round 4, which is a great transition to continue this discussion.
We're so good at this.
We're so good at this. My round 4 was C1 Helion, Radiant Dawn, so Wheelion, which slots into that like control range, controlled and hard pivot.
Yeah.
Hapatra, Vizier of Poisons, so green black creature combo.
Let's say, is that the snake one?
That's the snake one. Goes off with Yawgmoth and a stiff breeze.
Okay.
And then me, and then Narumeha, Master Wizard.
The mono blue one?
That is a...
Yeah, mono blue copy a spell that you control.
That is a pod. Yeah, that sounds like our locals.
Yeah, it sounds like a local pod for sure. It's just like shit you find in a dumpster.
No, our pods, like, people take out the wildest decks, and you're like, okay, and then they'll cook you with it if you don't show them the respect, right?
Correct. Yeah. That the game ends in a draw, and I'll save a lot of the. It's really not worth that much discussion. What I will say is this was the most. This was the yappiest pot of my weekend, of people just going, no, don't, but I want it, no, don't, and just like a whole shit ton of back and forth of talk about a decision for 10 minutes before making a decision.
Yep.
Which some of it was valid, some of it I think was one of the players, which I'm not a huge fan of just like railing people under the bus and dragging them, but one of the players in the pod was just very controlling with their politics in the face of the other two players being relatively new to the game. So it was the controlling politic person and myself kind of going back and forth being like, hey, this is what we want, or hey, this is an option, and just kind of running that back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And there were a lot of times where I had to interject for one of the people who was being kind of told what to do, and be like, hey, please interrupt me if you disagree with what I'm saying, but my understanding of your position is this. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And trying to give them the space to talk, and them just being like, nah, I'm mentally checked out, this is exhausting. So, ends up in a draw, because it becomes a I win if you don't win, if you don't win, if you don't win sort of deal, where just is what it is.
That can get frustrating, and I know you're very good at navigating those situations, but also, like, they just get to sit there the whole time and probably just point at your commanders like, oh, no, they're scary. They're the scary one.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Don't mind these 40 cards in my hand. Like, you know what I mean?
That is pretty close to what happened. Just like, bad guy. Which, spoilers, is how my semifinals went. But anyway.
I mean, you are
my...
guy.
No, I'm good guy.
Mm-mm.
Good guy.
I'm just gonna say Rogrek is always bad guy now. If I see that little kobold, I'm bad guy.
He's just a little guy.
I'm gonna start running mine stuff. just for Rogrek.
Gracios, good guy. Silas, bad guy.
The amount of time I cast Silas in one of my games, and it was the only reason I won the game, or was live in the game, because of Metalcraft. I just turned on Metalcraft for a Mox.
Oh, yeah.
I forget what game it was. It's not that important, but the amount of times that you don't... Silas never shows up. He shows up 1 in 10 games, and you're like, ah, shit, this is what I'm doing.
You always know if a ROG-sized game plan has gone poorly when they're like, all right, I cast Silas. You're like, ooh, it's that type of game.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Oh, you have nothing to do, and with the deck full of things to do, right?
Yeah.
Like, ooh, we're top decking.
Yeah, you cast Silas. Sorry, again, small derail. You cast Silas for like 3 reasons. It's either a Mox Amber Pip, Mox. It's like a pip for a Mox, whether it be Amber or Opal, depending on whether you need Metalcraft or Blue-Black. It is, if you've sacked Rograk twice, then you may as well cast the better one.
Yep.
And then if you need, a commander available for your Fierce and Swat after you need to sacrifice a command Rograk to, Tutor or whatever the fuck, mana, something. if you need a commander around after doing something with the other commander, then you cast it. But if you're casting Silas, it means you're on turn like 2 or you're on like turn 3 or 4, and all of a sudden you're not the most threatening deck at the pot anymore. Nope. But anyway, that's it. That was was that round 4 or round 3? I think that was
round 4.
Yeah, that's round 4.
Yeah, we talked about round 3 and round 4. Because you started off round 3. My round 4 was a 4-seat. First seat was Rogdrass. They had another Rogdrass deck. Second seat with Gitrog, and then third seat was a double Tymna deck. So Tymna Shakashima.
Oh.
Haven't seen that in a while. So I'm like, thinking like hard control. They'll be able to help kind of like deal with the other Rogdrass, deal with the Gitrog. Notably, the Rogdrass mirror matchup is usually. Oh, you're typing, Erik.
You're typing is so aggressive.
Double Rogdrass spot. Notably with the mirror matchup with Rogdrass, it's like exactly what we want anyways. Like we just get to sit there and go, no, I'm not. We don't interact with each other. We just sit here and play the things that I want to copy, and then I play other things that you want to copy, and go back and forth. And like I've had many games where I'm in a pod with another Rogdrass player, and somebody else has put a 1 attempt on the stack, and we've literally just sat there and untapped each other's cradles to try to find answers. So like it's really hard. Like anyone else in like the double Rogdrass pod, it's really hard to like crawl yourself out of it sometimes, because you just play all the things that you want, and the deck plays so many clones, and they really just bounce off each other like crazy. Yeah. Like compared to like the Rog Ishai kind of mirror matchup, it seems like they kind of try to control each other, so it's really hard for them to like bounce off each other. Except I play Ristic, you also play Ristic. Let's copy each other Ristics. More so it seems like they're kind of fighting over resources. So I'm in 4 seed in this one. So I'm just like, I know I'm not going to be the threat. They're going first. I get to kind of just feed off that energy. And I keep a little bit of a chiller hand, which is just a Eternal Witness, Spellseeker, Deserted Temple. Those aren't really notable, but they have them just in case. And then a Gemstone, Fierce, Breeding Pool, Gamble. So I'm like, okay, turn 1 fish. Turn 1 fish, I can sit here, I can sit behind a fish, hopefully accrue resources, and either combat the other Rogdrass player or be able to get over them or kind of skirt after them. The game develops, the Rogdrass player is developing a lot of stuff and becoming the problem. So I get to sit behind the fish and be the good guy in a lot of ways, and notably this is a 4-seat game, so the entire time too, very much okay with the draw, and I'm transparent about that. Like, hey, still open to a draw throughout this game, because like they're getting scary. I still have the board. I still have resources. I kind of get pointed at. I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with drawing at this point. The game keeps progressing. Notably, I kind of do something what we said earlier as well. The Rogdrass player plays a Ristic Study. I'm like, hey, I have a Fierce. I don't really want to hit your Ristic Study, but the double Tymna player has an Esper. How about your Ristic just be an Esper? And they're like, that's fine. Notably, I don't counter it as well because I have a Worldly Tutor in hand, and my whole game plan is to copy the Ristic Study. So I want it out there, but I don't really want them to get the full resources with it. So we make that deal. I'm like, hey, if anybody's like popping off though, obviously you can draw more cards, me included. I'm not gonna like pigeonhole you into this deal that just is you losing in that sense. Like if somebody's popping off, you can draw more Ristic cards. So the game kind of keeps developing in this way. I get back to my turn, I Worldly before my turn, I get a Clever, I get to copy the Ristic. I'm in a good spot. They go back to their turn, they copy their Ristic, so now they have another Ristic that's not under these restrictions. So the game starts developing more. Notably, they kind of just start to explode mana and start to kind of develop a push. They resolve a Spellseeker, and I'm like, oh, They have an E-zone as well at this point. They resolve a Spellseeker, and I was like, oh, that's bad. We're in danger. They go get a snap. I'm like, oh, this is really bad. They are just trying to win with this, because Spellseeker can go through many lines, and if you get Spellseeker snap, you can win from there. There's many lines. It's not that convoluted. It's just overall you're trying to get to Ewit, snap, cradle, do that thing. They have an E-zone. So that's the thing I'm most worried about, is that they can do this at any time, but instead they kind of try to just do this all in their turn in a lot of ways. They get stopped. As soon as they get stopped, they're like, okay, I'm okay with drawing. I'm like, well, you kind of just drew me into a lot of cards. I'd like to see how this game progresses, right? At this point, I want to play Magic. The whole time, too, I'm like, we can draw, we can go get food. But now we get 20 minutes left. I'm like, I don't really have time to go get food. If we're going to play Magic, let's play Magic now. Like, so
that's what you have 40 minutes after the round's over to go get food.
Yeah, exactly, right? And that was the thing, too, the whole event, is like every single time the rounds would end, we'd be like, all right, how much time do we have? Like, okay, the round's over. Let's hang out. You never know when this is going to end. And then they would always go 40 minutes over. But yeah, we go to Gitrog. Gitrog tries to resolve the enchantment that lets them discard cards on their Gitrog. And I was like, no. They're like, no, I don't have the other. I'm like, no, I know how this works. No, snap your Gitrog. So we snap their Gitrog. Notably, too, I kind of probe for information during the Rogtress's pop-off turn, because I'm like, what do we have? How do we deal with this? The double Tymna player is just sitting on an overloaded Rift that they want to fire off eventually. We get done with Gitrog's turn. They go to fire off the overloaded Rift. I kind of like posture, like I want to fight over it. I don't really want to in the most part. I just kind of play some things. I think I throw one spell at it. The Rogtrass player kind of fights my spell. I'm like, cool, Rift can resolve. Rift resolves. Everything gets bounced, including the 2 Ristics, so I don't have to deal with that problem anymore. The double Tymna player, this is the only kind of like worrisome point. I have interaction hand. I still feel good about it, but there's a lot of situations where they can play a set of cards and easily find a win or push a win attempt that I will not be able to stop. They don't have anything to win with. Still, the whole table too is at this point. It's like, oh, we can draw. I'm like, no, we're playing Magic now. I want to keep playing Magic. I feel very good in this spot now. Get to my turn. I just get to kind of
don't play Magic.
I just kind of get to play cards, puke mana, pop off, win. So that was a win, and that felt really good in 4 seat. Be able to convert that into a win.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
How was your round 4, Jordan? Was it more of the same, getting trick binded?
I did get trick binded in round 4.
That was the
Bonk.
Thankfully, as annoying as it was, I did actually find a way to do this game and did win this one. So this was my first win of the weekend. It was kind of a nonsense game though, because the so it was what? I remember. Hold on, let me pull the seat order real quick, because I think it was T and K. Yeah, I was in. Oh wait. Okay, so I was in seat 2. I forgot. I think Malcolm Vile was in seat 1. I think Kindle was in seat 3, and then seat 4 was Blue Farm. And the way the game developed, Blue Farm got a very, very quick Necro. I want to say like turn 2 Necro does. Did the for 8, whatever. Going into their next turn, we all kind of developed a little bit, but not a lot. And there was I don't remember if it happened going into the Necro player's turn, the Blue Farm player's turn, or if it happened during the Blue Farm player's turn. But the Malcolm Vile player convinces us to let him rip his Nas to get interact. No, it happened during the Malcolm Vile player's turn, actually, going around. That's right. So it went Necro, Malcolm Vile player's turn. They asked us to let them rip a Nas, and I was like, brother, if I had something to stop you, I would have stopped that Necro. Like, your Nas is clean and free. But somehow we negotiate him into letting us get 2 turns. He can't win for 2 turns. And I'm like, I don't know why he took this deal, because we didn't have anything anyway. But he took the deal. And we had 2 turns to figure it out. And so for 2 turns, the Necropotence and the Adnos player fought each other back and forth. Because the Adnos player kept nothing but interaction. It was like 7 pieces of interaction. And the Necro player kind of wouldn't push because of that. So like he would still rip. He still ripped pretty low, but then chose not to make a push anyway because he couldn't find all the interaction. I guess he didn't draw enough on his Necro. So they're down like low. I managed to get into my Abhorrent Oculus, and so they're all in a weird spot where now my Oculus can start eliminating players, and I've got enough damage on board to like truly eliminate both players. But I have to do it very carefully because I don't want to eliminate both at the same time, because that does just kind of make things weird for me. Anyway, it gets to a point where the Adnos player decides he's down to 3 life after getting whacked a couple times. The Necropotence player is still like just kind of waiting, biding his time. He's on 4 life, I think. I've got Oculus down. I've got like 8 or 9 creatures by this point. Oculus has gone around a couple times, so we've got a lot of stuff face down. Gets to the Mangabot player's turn. He decides to reanimate his Glenhorn, and this creates a huge judge call because he only had 3 life. And it gets to a point where it got weird because he cast Reanimate, I passed. The Kinnan player interacted with it with an offer you can't, or with a mental misstep. The Kinnan player, or the Makabal player at this point, because it kind of went fast, the Makabal player didn't technically declare a target, but says out loud at this point, I'm glad you're countering this or I would have died. Implying, right, that he had gone for the Glenhorn. Which, I mean, it's Makabal, right? We know they're going for Glenhorn. What else are you reanimating in that spot? The Kinnan player at this point puts an offer you can't refuse on the stack, targeting his own mental misstep, letting the Makabal player die. And the Makabal player tries to then change his target. That's when the judge call happens. It takes forever to unravel everything. Like, to the point where I feel like there was an appeal maybe that happened. And it took a minute, but ultimately Marcus came over and decided, like, based on all the information he was given, that the player had been targeting Glenhorn. He was meant to be targeting Glenhorn. He wasn't going to allow him to change target. But the player ended up pacting, I think, his own reanimate is what ended up happening, or maybe deflecting swatted something into something. I don't remember how, but he did manage to get out of that. Then tried to win. I put a Bowmaster on the stack when he was down to 1 life and killed him. And so he died. At this point, the blue farm player tries to fire off a Final Fortune. I let it resolve. Let it get to his upkeep, because face down I have the Ranger Captain. So on his upkeep, when it gives to priority, I special action up the Ranger Captain and immediately crack it.
We love special game actions.
The look on his face, he was like... he looked so annoyed. He's like, yeah, I guess that resolves. And that was GG's. And then literally after the game, he's like, I still think Oculus is a bad card, which is kind of funny. Hey, special action.
For clarity, on the record, I also think Oculus is a bad card. But that was a really good use case. That was a phenomenal use case.
But you love special actions.
In general,
I love special game actions.
I think it's only uniquely good in TNT. I don't know. Maybe the Black Thrasios decks can take advantage of it the same way too, but like there's specific tools that we're using it for that I don't know that other decks.
I feel like it's just the sound effects being flipped over. It's screwed up.
It's really funny. It's really funny. But so yeah, special action to him, and then on my turn I just ended up doing I started trying to do my Thrasios thing. I get trick binded here because he trick binded my untap of my Candelabra instead of my Thrasios because he thought that was going to choke me on mana. And it would have, except I had a Cloud of Fairies I've been sandbagging for a while. And so I flashed him. I just finally played my Cloud of Fairies. And at that point he's like, okay, I scoop. Like, you're just going to keep going until you get there. Thankfully, I did survive that one. But to get trick binded twice, I was like, I won, but holy shit, how does that happen twice in the same tournament? I think I've been trick binded twice in my entire career before this weekend. So to double it in one weekend was kind of nuts.
I saw another... Go for it.
Oh, I was just going to be silly. I can't wait till everybody slots in trick bind, and then you get doubled up on your next tournament too. You go from 4 to 8.
I saw another screwed up trick split second card that people are starting to run. I mean, not really people, but it's starting to be talked about. It's the colorless 2 blue return a permanent to a player's hand.
I hadn't even heard of that one.
I know, right?
Only split second ones I've seen like the
Lance.
Siege Smash is annoying.
And Legolas's quick reflexes out of like Sisay and shit like that.
I hated that card when Nadu ran it. You guys remember with the stupid Affetto combo?
Yeah.
There's just nothing you can do. It's just like, yep, it happens, and then I tap and untap forever, and it's like, I guess I just don't get to do anything. Because even if you respond, even if you respond, you just lose your whole board, no matter what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
There's like I think we found like a narrow case where there's like one response point, but other than that, you're just boned. Erik, take us away for the last round of day 1.
Oh yeah, for sure. So my last round, day 1, I was seed 1, which was like, I think this was my first seed 1 all weekend, and I was like, oh, sick, nice. Because at this point, I was locked for day 2 with 1 win and 2 draws, and I was like, okay, so we'll make day 2, but I don't want to go into day 2 needing 2 wins, because that's so stressful. You're like, oh my god. Every game is just high octane gameplay, and as soon as you scrub, you're like, shit. Jordan.
I'm laughing both because of that and because Zeke trying to play with his dog quietly without anyone.
Oh, yeah.
It's not me, it's my dog.
Yeah. You see the ball keep ending up back in your lap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. No, my dog is in the other room right now because my wife just went for her run and she's like, okay, like, dog, you want to come in here? And dog said, no, I want to go lay on the bed in the other room. And we said, okay. But anyway, I'm seed 1. I sit down at this pot and I'm low-key stoked because it's me on Roxai, then Rog Timna, like I said I ran into earlier. So this is the Rog Timna game. Then we've got a Kinnan, and then we've got a Vivi. So the only thing I'm really stressing this game is Vivi because of how it interacts with, like, Vivi uniquely makes my life a pain in the ass because it incidentally attacks my life total without doing anything. It just says, all right, -1, -1, -1, -1, -1, and every -1 is 1 less necro. So, which ends up being super relevant because I'm able to establish... everyone keeps 7s this game. I forget exactly what my 7 was, but everyone keeps 7s. Like 6s or 7s. I think 7s. Oh, I lied. I kept a 5. I think everyone else kept 7s. But what I remember is my whole game plan was a turn 2 necro. So I get a turn 2 necro down. And do a small rip, like I'll refill my hand rip just to get to a 7. It's a good rip. I end up with like a Valley Floodcaller in hand, maybe some other stuff, like some pieces that are important. But then on Rog Timna's turn 2, they play a tap land, like a surveil land, after imp sealing on 1. Oh, also, small thing from them on this game, on their turn 1 imp seal, they tutor their card, pass the turn, and then say, oh wait, I grabbed the wrong thing, can I change this? And we all said, no, you passed the turn. That's not how that works at all. Sorry, dog. He said, you know what, that's fair, got it. But on his turn 2, he plays a tap land and then plays a static prison, or whatever it is, the 1 white enchantment that exiles a permanent, and then you pay energy, and targets my Necro. Which puts me in this weird spot where I need to Necro in response for an amount of life that cannot be reasonably overdone by damage on board and potential VV. Because, like, VV isn't out yet, but VV kept a 7. So I have to anticipate that VV can, on their turn 2, go VV plus something. VV plus trigger a couple times. Yeah. And there's an amount of damage on board to represent, I think, 3. I think there's 3 damage on board, plus the VV potential. So I end up having to Necro for, like, I think it's only 22. So my total necro this game is like 30, which still sounds like a lot, but relative to like Rogsai standards, kind of conservative, because a lot of times you're trying to necro for like 35, 37 total, some shit like that. But it also creates this really interesting game state where after I've done that and my necro's gone, people don't need to care about my life total anymore because the necro's locked. So it's just like, it's this really interesting back and forth where you need to like make sure not to fuck yourself while also getting enough. But anyway, I necro for 22, goes around the turn cycle. Kinnan doesn't really do anything. The VV also doesn't really do anything. Importantly, doesn't even establish VV. So I'm like, oh, bummer. Could have ripped more, but I couldn't know that. You have to assume. You have two play patterns. You can either assume the worst and play conservatively, or assume nothing and get blown out.
Well, you don't know if
nothing.
You don't know if you change his play pattern too, right? Maybe if you do go low, he plays the Vivi.
Yeah, maybe he gets into a Vivi, and then my position is infinitely worse, and I do die. But anyway, go around, get back to me. I pop a fetch land on my turn. Like, I keep a fetch land as one of the things, because one of the good play patterns that you can do with Rogsai is necro some cards, crack a fetch, deductively, like, figure out what is in your necro pile based on what is not in your library. So I do that, and I figure out, oh shit, I've got my Born, my Final Fortune, and a bunch of rocks and mana in here. This pile is cooking. So I go to my end. People fight me before I get my cards and try to remove my Rograk, which would have been the pivotal point, because my Rograk was representing mana with a Springleaf Drum and mana with like sack rituals and stuff like that, which luckily I'm able to fight through and is fine, but it does put me in a harder mana spot. But I know that the cards that I'm going to be grabbing will be enough. So grab my 20, my 22, after protecting my Rograk. And it's pretty simple from there. I Born into a bunch of mana, into a Burgi, into a bunch more mana, into a Breach, into winning the game. Pretty straightforward from there. What I learned afterwards is that if the Rog Timna player doesn't fuck up their Imp Seal, they have a turn 2 win. But they fucked up their Imp Seal, because it would have been what they're supposed to seal is a... they're supposed to hold their Imp Seal or something. I don't remember exactly. Oh, yeah, now I remember. They're supposed to have a different land into play than what they tutored for, because I think they tutored for a land, and they tutored for a tap land, because they didn't think they could get there at first. But if they don't do that, they have a turn 2 Entomb Reanimate on a big idiot. I think they would have been a Villas or something like that. But functionally a win. The Kinnan didn't really do a lot. Vivi put up some effort, but didn't do a lot. And the Rog Timna is Rog Timna. They interacted with their one piece, but got there from there. So after this, I'm going into day 2 with 12 points and feeling pretty cozy. I'm like, okay, I just need one win. I've only gone first once in the Swiss. I will probably have a first or a second seed game on day 2, and I can probably cook from there.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
It was good.
Nice.
Next.
Yeah, my last round of the day was pretty uneventful for the most part. Pretty eventful and uneventful for the most part. With definitely a lot more pretty prominent players. Don't remember what seat I had this game, but it was Alan on TNT from the team event, and then Zach, who I believe is going by Bones now, but he was the artist for the playmat at the Boil, if I'm not mistaken. Great guy.
Previously Snowballin'.
Snowballin', yep, exactly. I've had great interactions with him. I actually worked with him to get the Rogthras playmat kind of commissioned and done a while back, and so yeah, I always have a great time with him. First game I've actually played with him, he was on Tim Nadargo, and then it was me, and then our last player was Arkham. It was Notorious on Arkham. The whole game kind of just is quickly turned into a draw. Alan develops an OBM. I do the thing that Erik was just talking about earlier, where I pass him a card and I show him a deflecting spot, and I say,
"Don't do it."
and like me and Alan, before we even sit down to this game, we're like, "Hey, we're okay with like just drawing this game and going to get food. Like, I'm starving. I haven't eaten. We've been here all day. Let's get this over." Zach and Notorious are both like, "No, we want to play," and we're like, "Cool, don't mind playing. Don't care. I'm not going to pressure you into like not playing." But I just quickly shut that down, and I was like, "Okay, like this OBM's not coming at you," basically, without even saying anything to each other. My hand is a pretty chill hand. It's just got Snap for the Arkham and the Swat for the Arkham, and then sitting on a fairy to profit off of draws, and an Enduring Vitality and a Cloud of Fairies. So, like, I know I can develop mana, play the Cloud of Fairies, just kind of get another dork, basically another creature on the field to turn the Enduring Vitality into more profit. Notably, I always look at my misplays, too. I cast a Thrasios when I shouldn't have, because I thought I cast a Thrasios and still had 2 mana up. I had failed to realize that I was just down to 1 mana, so I did not have access to my Snap anymore. We go into the Arkham's turn. He develops Arkham into boots, and he's looking to equip the boots, basically, and like go there, because he has a Memnite. Yeah, notably, the hand's crazy. Like, it's like artifact creature that you need, Mana Vault, and a Lotus Petal, and a land. And so we're kind of talking about like, oh, what do we need to do to stop this? And like, hey, if we show you some pieces, can we just draw this game and move on? And he's like, oh, if I see, I don't know it verbatim. I'm not going to hold people to their word, but I don't know what he says verbatim. But it says something along the lines like, oh, if you show me pieces, like we can just draw. And then Alan proceeds to show him 2 cards, which later I find out are MBT and Pact. And he's like, no, I don't want to draw. And then I'm like, okay, I have pieces of interaction as well. And he was like, oh, okay, show them to me, and then we can draw. And I go, that's not how this works. You just had the same conversation, and then you didn't want to draw. I'm not going to give you free info unless we are just drawing, and I'll show you the pieces after. I was like, I can show the other 2 players, and they can vouch to me to say that I can back up whatever they do. And so I end up basically showing Alan my whole hand. Like, this is what I got. Basically, like, I made a mistake. I did not keep up my Snap. That's on me. I know that I made that mistake. So Alan realizes that, and he packs the boots. Because in packing the boots, he had to crack his LED on his turn, discard his hand, pay for this pack trigger. So he can still pay for the pack trigger, but it was just, like, a terrible position to paying for it. So he hit the boots. He packs it. He goes his turn, discards his hand, pays the pack, passes, still has the OBM out. I have a Fairy Mastermind at this point. We go to Zach's turn. Zach draws a card, laughs, shows Alan, says pass. He's got 2 mana up, and I was like, you got an OBM, don't you? And he smiles at me, and it's got an OBM. I have a Fairy and an OBM, so we basically just get to force game into a draw due to the double OBM Fairy Mastermind. Like, let's just go eat food. Like, I'm okay with drawing. Now they're both okay with drawing, and it's just one other person to convince. So it's just like quickly that turns into an easy draw. And like, game's over. Happy to be done with that game. To be honest, I do not want to be in that pod with double OBM. I will cry. My creatures will be dead.
What about triple OBM?
You know, I have not scooped a triple OBM, but then once the 4th one hit, I was like, yeah, we can draw. That happened in games before. Yeah, that was my first day of the event. I left with 13 points, so I felt like I was in a very good position. I believe I was 4th seat going in today, too. So Felt good. Still really wanted to secure another win the next round to be able to feel good about things. A lot of people are talking about there's a lot of draws the event. Maybe 15 points is the bubble, maybe 14. Like 15 gets you in. I was like, I don't love that. I want to play for a better seeding anyways. I don't like to do that. I've had too many events in the past where I try to rely on tournament math, and then it's like finish 17th, and that just feels terrible. Mm-hmm. So I'd rather lose and finish 17th. Be like, well, I tried, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my last round of the day. What about you, Jordan?
Mine was on stream. If y'all want to go watch it, you can. Lily, TLDR.
Oh, that's right.
Hardwood Storyteller sucks, and Lily's a terrorist.
It was the couple stream.
It's terrible.
Man, Family Feud is crazy.
Lily just wouldn't let me have it, huh? The Culling Ritual apparently is not okay. Not like I had a survival to finish to put right behind it.
Yeah, it sounds like she made the right call.
Oh, 100%. 100%. That Culling Ritual results, I would so fast.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Hardwood Storyteller sucks.
Heard.
Yeah, day 2. Just to knock it out. My round, this is another 4 seat for me. And this is kind of like what I kept talking about. Like, no matter what I did, I just felt like the cards were in my favor, and I just felt hot that event. Like, we play a variance-based format, and sometimes you just get the good variance. I initially felt like I was getting the bad variance in this game because I had to mull to 4 and 4 seat, and so that did not put me in a great position. I was against Magda, against the Iron Man, too, that you were talking about earlier. And then the last person in the pod was it was another rock test. It was Guy. That's right. My 4, the hand that I'm looking at, there I'm like, okay, I'm on 4. I'm not going to go much lower than this. I have to pick 4 of these cards. There's not a land in these. There's a Chrome Mox. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's playing as a land. I have Bird, Elf, Badger Mole, Chrome Mox, Wild Growth, Vibrance, and a Wild Growth. And so I'm like sitting, humming and hawing. I'm either like, can I do Double Dork Badger? It's 4 cards. This doesn't really work out unless I like pray that I hit a green card. Like, that's solid. But even then, it's like, then I'm not earthbending a land, and it's just awkward. So I'm like, I think the best course of action is Double Dork, Chrome Mox, Vibrance. See what we draw into. If I draw into a green card, then I have another Dork, but let's see. So I keep that. Draw into Shifting Woodlands right away. I'm like, okay, I hit a land. It's a tap land. It feels bad, but exile the Elf, play the Bird, play the Shifting. Say go. Get to go around. Play the Vibrance. Get Cradle. Start to get back in the game, right? Notably, the Magda has a nutty start. Like, Mana Vault, I don't know how they did. The Magda was being in a very dominant position, but the Magda opens up the game with a Grafdigger's Cage. So me and the other Arcturus player go, fuck. Our games just got significantly worse. After that happens, we go around. The Iron Man player goes, well, since Magda has one, I'm also going to play one. So here's a second Grafdigger's Cage. So at least Magda can't do their thing with it. And it's like, that's fair, but I also definitely hate it here. They have Dorks. They have a Mutavault. Like, I've played against Magda too. I'm like, they're in a very good spot. So we're kind of figuring out how we can stop the Magda and basically draw the game at that point. Because the Magda is the highest seed person in the event at the moment. And they're like, you can tell they're not opposed to the draw, but they also like are in the best position. So the whole game is kind of like trying to figure out how do we get there. Me and the other Rogdrass player, like I was saying earlier, Rogdrass works really well together when you need to find a solution. We're kind of showing cards back and forth. He kind of flips me like a candelabra with his Valley Flood color out, and he's like, "Oh, we can untap our cradles and really dig if we need to, right?" And so the whole time too, like the Magda player is like talking about it. We're talking about like trying to play for a draw, and then he gets to the point where like the other Rockdrass player is like, "Okay, like we can start doing stuff, but like I need you to like agree to a draw." Like looking at me, and I say like, And this is one of the points too that I really like try to drive home to a lot of people is like, yes, there is a situation with draws, but I don't want to. I am looking to play for a draw, but I can't openly admit to just completely playing for a draw because that gives just the free window for the player that's trying to push. So if that player says, "Oh, those 3 players want to draw," I can go all in and I'm not going to get punished. And if I don't get there, we just draw. So it's a win-win for them. And I really would prefer the situation of, no, if you overextend and you go too hard into it, you might open up a window for me. And so we either draw now or, you know what I mean? We're not going to play for the draw. And so this situation develops. I'm starting to get into a very dominant board state as well. If there wasn't Grafdigger's Cages out, I have a line with Snap Spellseeker. It's just unfortunate that there's 2 Grafdigger's Cages out. And that's what I mean. Like, my variance felt very, very good this event. Like, I milled the 4 and 4 seed, and if there's not 2 Grafdigger's Cages, I'm starting to cook that pod. Right. So it's a very weird scenario. But yeah, Vega's like, yeah, draw. He sticks out his hand. He's like, yeah, we can draw. I was like, okay, cool. Because like, and I think me using the politics of, no, you don't get to just go for it freely and then we draw, really kind of put them in a position where it's like, you have to decide now or decide later. And if you decide later, especially against Rockdass, it's too late.
Right.
So it's like, you take it now or you don't take it at all.
Yeah, I've seen Stacko use that before too, where he's like, it's now. If you do not draw now, I'm winning. And then everyone's like, okay, we're cool.
Yep. The slope is just going to get slipperier and it's just going to be harder for us all.
Yeah, that makes sense. My round 5 was, round 6 was interesting. Mostly because I actually convinced someone to kill themselves with their own pact negation. It was an accident. In case this ever shows up anywhere else. I mean, I'll talk about it on my own channel too, but like, it was an accident. The idea was...
What do you say? Gaslight, gatekeep,
Girlboss. But this one was legitimately an accident because the Malcolm Vile player went for a turn 2 Thoracle consult from whatever seat he was in. I don't remember now, but I was trying... I had a Flare of Denial, and I had my Thracios up. I had cast Thracios, I kept him up. He was on Wandering Minstrel, and I assume it was some kind of lands or 5-color good stuff. I don't think it was Turbo. And he showed me the pact, and he's like, I can't cast it. And I was like, no, wait. The Malcolm Vile player had said he had interaction. So I was like, trust. Cast the pact, he'll interact with it. I'll let that resolve so it gets countered. And then I'll rep my Flare, and we'll counter this, and we'll be good. Because if we go the opposite way, and you still have to cast your pact, we just lose. So, or you just lose, and the rest of the pot draws, I guess, which doesn't really help anyone in that situation either. So I was like, let's do it this way, and he was okay with that. So he fires off the pact, where there maybe should have been some discussion with the Malcolm Vile player of like, hey, if there's 2 pieces and I can't beat the 2 pieces, because he did have a piece of interaction, it turned out to be mental misstep, which of course did not hit the pact. So the pact did resolve.
What do you mean?
The pact did resolve. The dude did not look very happy. I do feel bad about it, but I did win the game also because of it, because obviously Malcolm Vile kept the hand for the turn 2 Oracle console, so he's blown out. Now this guy's dead. And the Kindred player kept a slower hand that did not develop very quickly. And by the time they did, I just had too much resources. And was able to basically control them and then win on my turn pretty handedly. So, did not mean to do so, but it was kind of funny. I did apologize.
In a lot of ways, it's like, that is the correct play. Like, start with the packs.
Right.
So that we can keep you in the game. It just didn't work out that way.
Yeah, I mean, if I was the Malcolm Vile player, I'd have been like, look, you guys have me stopped. You don't cast your pact. I'm not going to counter whatever he has. And we're good to keep playing. Yeah, and
especially, like you said, especially because it's a Malcolm Vile player.
Yeah, he's in.
You want that other player in the game. You don't want to. Your combo doesn't work anymore.
Especially if that's the hand you kept for exactly that. So now you have to find time to rebuild and try and get back into it. Yeah,
exactly.
A little rough.
I mean, it still works with 1. It still works with -1, right?
What? Oh yeah, kind of. As long as as long as all the life totals are together, they'd have to be exactly on. If they're even if they're off at all, because you don't have the third person to even begin the loop with, it gets even rougher.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to do it. I mean, you're still filtering through your whole deck, and you're basically killing one person and taking someone else down super low. So it's like, how bad is it really? But it doesn't kill on the spot, and I think that's always like the issue, especially when you're close to time and stuff. But yeah, in that situation, it just ended up being like really unfortunate set of circumstances that led to that guy killing himself. So, but I won. So hey, I was at 13 points now. No,
huge.
14 points. I was at 14 points. I started doing the math on the tournament, and I was thinking 15's going to get there. I even said it in my pod that I thought 15s would get in when I sat down for round 7. And because I was trying to convince them, like, we could maybe draw this. Because they had asked me, like, hey, are we all good that we're going to agree on a winner? And I was like, I don't think I'm going to agree on that, actually, because I think I fight for my extra point and hope that 15 gets in. Mm-hmm. And 15 did get in. 15 actually was literally was 17th at 14. And I was 20th still at 14. So I was right. I was indeed right.
Yeah, it's one of those weird spots where it's like, it's nice that it's a hard point cutoff, like, because there were only like so many 15s, and then the 17th was 14, and 16th was 15, but it still feels bad, because like, could have squeezed one more point in somewhere, but it is, but then all the math becomes different anyway, because other people have different win rates and different points, Yeah, it would just suck, because I probably should have been a little bit more like, hey, I think we draw here instead of playing this out, and it gets us a better shot. Also, because I got cooked before I even had a turn 2, so, like, was a non-game for me. That same Iron Man y'all played just went absolutely nuts in that round, and turn 2 does. My game action was a tropical island, and I lost. So, yay me. Dude, that's
turn 2.
That's how my round 6 felt. Let me use this as such a clean transition into doing nothing. My round 6 was Seed 1 Corbin on Turbo Farm. So, like, Corbin, Lemon Pepper Whiter, Pinnacle, whatever. Alan.
He can't figure out a team either.
He can't figure out a team. I went to look him up in Top Deck, and it says Pinnacle, and then all weekend he was repping Lemon Pepper Wet, and I was like, what are you doing? What's happening? Alan on TNT and Seed 2. Myself, Seed 3, and then Skylar Albert, who on Rog Thras in Seed 4. Turn 1. So I'll go through the first 2 turns, and then I'll just shut up.
I was gonna say, notably, that is the Rog Thras player from my day 1 that I played against in the 4th round. So it's like we were running into a lot of the same people too.
We were, yeah. I'll go through the first 3 turns, and then I'll make this a very quick summary because it devolves so quickly. My turn 1 is almost really good. It's like, it's land, Soul Ring, Mox, Opal, Vexing Bubble to turn on the Mox Opal. Then I'm going to Demonic Tutor to get out of turn 2 Necro. But instead, I do everything, and then I play a Vexing Bubble. And then the Rog Thras player goes, Mental Misstep. And I say, hey, don't do that. Please. And he says, crack it immediately. And I said, I'll crack it on my next turn. He says, in your upkeep. And I said, no, I need the mana. He says, yeah, fuck you. And Mental Missteps it. And now I am not playing the game. Because he goes to his turn 1 and develops a fish or something. Nothing crazy. Like, good, but not insane. Like, it was no additional mana plus a fish. So, it's a fish that kills itself eventually. And then the Corbin sets up a turn 2 Smothering Tithe. So he goes into his turn, tithes. We go into Alan's turn. Alan clones the tithe with, importantly, a flash photography.
I remember walking over to this game. I walked over for 5 seconds, looked at it, and went, ugh, and walked away.
It was hell, and I wasn't part of it. We get to my turn 2, because now we're sitting under double tithe. We get to my turn 2, and I make the immaculate game action of cast Silas. So I do that.
We talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
That means not good.
That means GG's. That means GG's. We're going home.
Yeah. Yep. I cast Silas to turn on my Mox Opal, Mox Opal, and then Demonic Tutor DT for a Naz, because there's only one thing that's going to get me back into the game at this point at a reasonable timeline, and it's a Naz. I can't really wait for my main phase for a Necro or anything like that. That just isn't going to work. Go to Rogfrast player. He does basically nothing, maybe some mana or something, pays for fish, nothing substantial. Go to Corbin's turn, and he makes a Rhystic Study. So now he's sitting under Rhystic Tithe, and we're all like, this is hell. We go to Alan's turn. He develops mana. He develops because he's under a tithe, and then Flash Photographies the Rhystic Study. So now both of the mid-range slop players are sitting under Rhystic Tithe, and I go to my turn. I'm like, man, I ain't doing shit. I pass the turn because I have the Naz in hand, but if I rip Naz right now, I'm just eating it. Like, I'm eating whatever interaction exists and then not converting anyway because it's a main face Naz on 5 mana exact. It's like, alright, pass. Rockthrast does basically nothing. I think the same, like, pay for fish, maybe get something out. Not a lot. Get to Corbin's turn. And now the game explodes. Because Corbin goes for something. Corbin goes to combat or something, or is in combat. I forget exactly what's happening. But he has a shit ton of mana through the Tithe because the Rhystic Tithe players are both, like, circle jerking each other and just generating shit ton of cards, shit ton of mana. And he starts trying to do something. So Alan tries to overloads Psych Rift. And after that, everything gets buried. Our stack becomes like 25 cards deep with a bunch of triggers on the stack as well. At one point, Alan also gets to a point where he puts a High Fate Trickster into play, so he has flash speed on Corbin's turn, and also gets an OBM into play to ping Corbin for all of the draw triggers that are happening across the table. And the stack just goes on and on and on and on and on until a point where Corbin is pinged to 0 off of Corbin's OBM triggers, because we tried to bury all those triggers at points and like make it so they didn't happen, so Corbin's spells are still on the stack, and it just doesn't matter because they're both sitting under infinite engines, infinite value, and Alan has his Thrasios in play too, so he can just create more. He can, for everything that Corbin has, Alan can have more off of Thrasios. So everything just gets buried and buried and buried and buried and buried and buried. And eventually Corbin dies, clearing the stack of all of his spells, and Alan is just able to go. Because importantly through this whole thing, the Rogthrast player, I think, drew almost his whole deck, at least half, maybe 2/3 of his deck, and saw one piece of free interaction, maybe 2, which is crazy. But yeah, Alan takes it, which is great for Alan. Congrats.
I would say, just to chime in about the Rockdraft player, I believe they're on like a more Cynic-based version, so they're not on the Breach version. And
yes, I remember he had bigger things.
Most of the Breach versions run more interaction because they want to play that later game.
Yeah.
So like Force and Egg and some other pieces, but yeah, that's probably why too.
Yeah. Anyway. Game wasn't mine. My Naz has to get buried really early in the stack, and after that I'm just like sitting at the will of gods and not getting there. Because they also end up with like double Fairy Mastermind in play at one point, so extra circle jerking on each other and triggering their Mastermind with their Tithe triggers, and like it was hell. It was mid-range slop to the finest.
You were in the cuck chair. You got to sit
I was in the cuck chair. Lily would be so proud. But yeah, that was my round 5. I mean round 6. And we talked about it. Everyone talked about their 6s already, right?
And my 7, but yeah.
Okay.
I'll
quick go through my 7 because it is so much cooler than that game was. I am seed 3 in Kenrith in seed 1, Tim Nadargo in seed 2, me in seed 3, and then Dog Thress in seed 4. And my opener is pretty good. I forget exactly what the cards are, but it's like a Diabolic Intent and a Jessica's Will are 2 of the important cards. Mm-hmm. What I'm able to set up is a turn 2 card perfect win with a breach line, because it's a J-Will into a Diabolic Intent. So it's a J-Will that flips a Beseech the Mirror, fetch land, Force of Will. So I'm able to use the fetch land as land for turn, +1 card in the graveyard, Diabolic Intent, away my Rog. Diabolic Intent is in hand, put Rog in graveyard, tutor for a Cabal Ritual, play a Cabal Ritual. Cabal Ritual is perfectly online for threshold for 7 cards in graveyard. I'm now at 4. I think I'm at 3 red, 5 black, and I Beseech the Mirror. Beseech, sacking a Springleaf Drum that was in play for bargain into a Demonic Tutor for a breach, cast breach hard cast breach into play. I have a Lotus Petal in field, importantly, so then I'm able to Lotus Petal on field, so then I'm able to Demonic Tutor for a Brain Freeze into hand, Petal from graveyard twice, putting me at just Lotus Petal in graveyard, so card perfect, and then Brain Freeze from hand. And it was just math, card perfect breach line on turn 2, and the Dog Thrust player to my left shows me their hand afterwards, and it has a silence in it, but they chose to play their dog on turn 1 so that their Cradle was online for turn 2, which is correct. You don't really expect to get turn 2 in that fashion, and I showed him after as if it makes you feel any better, and my hand had Pactum Negation and a Red Elemental Blast in hand, so along with the Force of Will in exile. So it was, I was covered. It was fine. But I was like, here, this is it, brother. But that was my very quick round 2. Round 7, locking me for the semifinals. Nice. But, yep. Also, I have some...
Zeke, did you even play your round 7? Or you guys just do a draw?
Yeah. No, I needed to play my round 7.
Oh, okay.
Because my round 6 was a draw. My round 7 was on camera. And I don't know if we'll have it in the description, but
we can.
Everyone should go check it out. You can both watch that game and some other games that happened in the event. Spoilers.
What do you mean, Zeke? What do you mean?
What game are we referring to?
I'll give the short version of it. I definitely think the game's worth watching. A lot of good politics are involved. Basically, I got to play the Blue Farm game. I was in 3rd seat, and it was Corrin. It was just in your round. In 1st seat on farm, and then another Rogthras player. Then it was me, and then it was an Natali. Corwin, I keep a Biofam, Flair of Duplication, Chromox, Fetchland, Omni Changeling, Ancient Tomb, and then I bottom a Deserted Temple, so I keep a 6. Watch the video. Corwin gets a turn 2. Corbin, sorry, yeah, not Corbin.
You've done it like 3
we
times
have
in
a
row.
Corwin.
We have Corbin.
That's a Corbin.
This is Corbin.
Turn 2 Nas. The whole pod's
Flair.
like, uh-oh. He notably, Nas's hold priority cracks LED. Bad. Rogdash shows me their whole hand. She's like, I don't have shit. I'm like, cool. I don't have a counterspell. Atali, do you have anything to help? They show me something, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. They can't help at all. I'm like, okay. I have an answer. Let's sack my Roderick. I have a Flare of Duplication. I want a Nas. My Nas pile's a little hefty on life at first. I hit it this town, I hit Pact, and I hit Force of Will. So I have answers, but I don't get to dig that deep with Nas. Notably, I hit Breach and Brain Freeze as well. So I get to counter the other Nas. Corbin's like, oh, can we talk about this? And I'm like, hey, I know you're reasonable. No, you're blown out. I want to keep you that way. I don't really need another competitor back in this when I have an ad Nas resolved. We get back to my turn. I'm like, I don't really want to send the risky Nas right now. I don't have a pedal or an LED or a way to get there or convert, and my deck does not have as many options as the other Breach decks do to get those things. So I pass, hold up interaction. Atali does Atali things. Watch the video. I get to Breach line. I get there. It's a very very fun game to watch.
All right, everyone. Well, we had to film this in 2 parts because we talked too much in the first part. So we're back for the second part here. So if you notice, wardrobe change and haircut change and I don't know, other changes. Like my background.
Same day.
Yeah,
it's the same day.
It's the same day. We just are magical.
So now we're here to talk about Zeke and Erik's experience in the top 16. Unfortunately, I did not have a top 16 experience, but I will hand it over to those two to go over what they experienced.
Do you want to go first, Erik?
No, I want you to go first because otherwise you're going to be talking for an hour straight.
That was the point. I was setting it up. So, top 16. I'm seat 1. I get a double Rog Ishai pod, which I haven't really gotten a chance to play against the deck, but I understand it's kind of into the heavy draw meta. I know it plays some interaction that deals with my creatures, so like I think I like honestly don't know how the matchup will go. Roggrass usually does well into the high resource games, so I'm really not too worried about it, and just worried about like cards like Firestorm. But the more I kind of think about it, the more I realize that like the double Rog Ishai pod isn't really good for the mirror matchup for them as well as it could be, because oftentimes they fight over having the draw engines and they don't get to like coexist and work together, unlike some other mirror matchups, like for instance like Rogsai or Rogthras. They kind of just do their own thing and don't worry about each other or help each other out in some ways. So it was double Rog Ishai and then Rowan. So I had a turbo player that the other 2 players had to be worried about, and I kind of just got to keep like a little bit of interaction and progress my own board state in a lot of ways. I think I made the decision off of a first 7 to mull. It was like land, Mox Diamond, bird, Mockingbird start. So it was like 4 mana off the bat, but nothing to do after. I decided to pitch that on a first 7 just to find something that would like actually do something. And I believe, let me see if I can find my hand. Yeah, I kept a 6 that just was a little bit more proactive in what it did.
Was there any concern with like the proactive hand that you just get blown out by the double kind of Rog Ishai setup?
So I wasn't really too worried about that because we had the Rowan player to worry about. So that I realized that if like they stop me, they're just going to get blown out to Rowan and just lose to Rowan. And there's a world where both of them realize that, and I can kind of talk to them about that. And I really just needed to progress my board state because if I get buried under 2 draw engines, I'm still losing the game anyways.
Yeah.
So Rowan gets to just be the problem and just kind of eat a lot of that for me. But I kept just a little bit more of like do something hand because it had a tutor, multiple tutors in it. It was Mockingbird, Gamble, Fetch, a Finale, Dryad Arbor, and a Soul Ring. And I remember the game kind of was at a slower pace just because the Rog Ishai players were being a little bit more responsible. I believe I early gambled for a fish and just got to set up a fish, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think I even did that. I either set up a fish, or I drew into it early sowing Mycospawn, and got to sit behind a pair of Fairy Masterminds and a sowing Mycospawn, and just kind of progress value in that way. There was one Rog Ishai player that was developing fish Ristic, and the other Rog Ishai player was just not drawing into those kind of draw resources. They still had a Fairy Mastermind, so they were drawing in that way. But it kind of played out like how I typically thought that pod was going to play out. Those two players developing draw engines, the Rowan player kind of just repeatedly shoving, and then us kind of having to stop them. I will say the Rog Ishai player in the second seat next to me was doing a really good job of still sitting behind a draw engine and trying to get us to give information or use interaction. But he was just drawing the cards. And at that level of a pod, it's just not going to work out as well as it does in his Swiss games. But it was to the point where I was like, I kept repeatedly saying, like, I'll show my hand if you show me your hand kind of situation, because he kept asking me for information. And there was one point where I just didn't have any encounter spells, and he had to keep kind of like interacting with things. And then at one point too, I even like just drew into a fluster, and I was like, fine, I'll use the fluster. You can see that I just drew into something. I don't care. And it got to the point where the other Rog Ishai players' kind of window was to try to go for a Apple of Eden, to steal the other Rog Ishai's players, kind of like win cons and all their cards in hand. And so they had went for this, and then it had left the board into a state where interaction had been used on the Rowan player. Rog Ishai had just tapped out, I believe, and then the other one had either 1 mana up or just was tapping out as well. So it felt like this is the window now, or I kind of started to get buried, or have to try to win on top, and it's going to get a little bit more sluggish. So on my turn, after having a fair amount of cards in hand, nothing crazy, but Cradle, creatures starting to develop, starting to look scary, I got to just kind of keep putting spells on the stack that needed to be dealt with, and just some low impact problematic spells like Candelabra, and then I think I put a Tutor on the stack, but both of those spells had been interacted with in the way of Mindbreak Trap and Force of Negation. So, and then notably seeing another Force of Negation go earlier too, and having a little bit of interaction in my hand, but not a ton to really fight, but putting myself in a position where I was trying to set up like an LED breach line. And so that's why I was notably watching out for the exile effects, is because I knew those were some of the few cards that were actually going to be able to stop my lines and stop what I wanted to do. So after those had been baited out, I ended up going for a just LED cast with a Shifting Woodlands out, and got to resolve the because I was also worried about a silence too, so that's why they were tapped out, and that's why I was like, feels like a good window. Win for an LED resolved, and I just immediately crack it and discard Breach, Brain Freeze, and then get to activate Shifting Woodlands and turn it into a copy of Breach. They had SWAT Flare, and I still had just enough green mana just to go on top and just redo the Shifting Woodlands.
Dude, so that's pretty sick, actually, like cracking the LED to get the Delirium. Yeah.
So yeah,
we
just got to win with
that. Shifting Woodlands breach lines are very cool.
And especially with Cradle.
That one. Very cool.
Especially with Cradle, too, and you had just have a bunch of green mana. Like, I activated Shifting, they swatted it, I activated Shifting, they flared it, I activated Shifting again. And, like, could have still done it 2 more times. The swat.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah, they were trying to redirect the Shifting both times, but just had enough green mana to just keep doing it on top.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. No, that's very cool.
Didn't get firestormed. That's the only thing we're worried about.
Yeah, I was joking with you. Is that like their only actual creature removal besides like bounce spells? Because most of them aren't running swords, right?
I don't know.
I am not familiar enough with the list.
Me neither.
I'd have to go back and look, but I think I looked at one where they were running almost no spot removal, which I was a little surprised about.
I think it's the
You have to make room for all of your clone effects. All of that take someone else's Ristic effects.
I do think the creatures decks are the ones that kind of get that deck, though, in a lot of ways. Kind of like the Sisseys and the Magdas and the Rockgrasses, and they make their life harder, for sure.
Mm-hmm. I mean, every time I've come across it in TNT, right, and all we're doing is activating, they just kind of sit there.
Yep.
Which I'm sure
you said, I think in one of your videos, too, it's like when you're in a pod with them, if you're not playing a draw engine, you're decreasing their chances of just being able to copy it, right?
Yeah. Pretty much.
And that's the weakness of Jeskai, is they don't have tutors. Their tutors kind of suck.
Yeah.
I mean, they're on Idyllic Tutor, which tells you how bad they are.
They're on, like, Dizzy Spell, just so they can, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Not to derail too much, but I was talking with Ty Ohio, one of the other big Rogsai pilots, and thinking about revisiting the wrong Sai concept, just with, like, tooled better to current meta and current things, because it plays a lot like Rocket Shy, except you get tutors and you get necro and you get easier win lines than having to play Emrakul. So
you have so many ways to find your Ristic.
You're basically because you're basically trading out your silencers and your smothering tithe for just better Ristics, right? And honestly,
better.
Ristic is better than Smothering Tithe in that deck. I've seen a Smothering Tithe hit the board, and then they copy it, and then a dude lose with 50 treasures and nothing to spend them on.
Yeah, because if you have nothing in your hand, treasures don't matter.
Yeah.
And when your commander doesn't capitalize on mana, like when your commander doesn't do anything with the mana.
And, like, also Tithe gets you closer to, like, some of those combos, but, like, Rog Ishai doesn't have a way to search for the other pieces.
No.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
I mean, what does dumping your hand in Rog Ishai look like? Right?
2 Ristic studies.
Or 3 Smothering Tithes, apparently.
Yes.
I always wonder, the part I enjoy about the deck is seeing Apple become, like, more prominent in the format, and I want to love that card, but the fact that it's sorcery speed just kills it for me every single time.
Yeah.
True. Sorcery speed on that card, it's definitely, like, a hindrance. I was playing a local pickup game on Sunday, and Apple, I think it was out of a Godo player, funny enough, but Apple targeted me, and I'm just able to D-swat it to somebody with, like, 2 cards in hand. And I'm like, alright, someone else, please. But since I don't have to worry about it on my turn, I can just kind of hang back and plan for it to happen rather than being caught by it at any point.
Last time I played against a player with an Apple, they targeted me with it, but I had an E-zone, and I was like, brother, I will dump my whole hand if we don't turn to some type of agreement. And the first card I'm ripping is this Culling Ritual that I know no one has an answer for. I'll nuke all of us to the Stone Age if I have to.
Well, that's the problem with it, right? Like, it'd be cool if it was, like, some split second or, like, I don't know, something. But the fact that you can just be like, yeah, okay, silence. Like, here's my hand. Now that you've looked at it, I want it back.
Please give. Return to me, please. I need it.
What about you, Eric? What was your top 16 experience like? I know yours was a lot more fun.
Poor. So, I say poor. I'm joking. It was fine. I didn't win. Spoilers. So I am seed 2. First seed is Magda. One of the more notable Magda pilots. I think he goes by Rust online, which most devoted Magda pilots will be aware of him, I believe, at least according to my Magda pilot friend. So we've got Rust, we've got me, another guy who's on, I believe he's on Lemon Pepper Wet, but I'm blanking on his name right now. I can find it. But he is playing
It was the guy that was in finals with me. What is his name?
Yeah.
Canadian.
Yeah.
Yep. And he's on 5-color soup, but a fun take on soup of playing Leo and Wrath.
Is it Mikey? I thought it's Mikey. Leo and Mikey.
Mikey. Yeah.
Shit. I don't remember which one's which.
I'm working on it.
The green one does food?
Yes, correct. So one of the commanders is just 4 mana for a white creature that has an activated ability. That's Woburg. So 5 colors on its own. And then it's a 2 mana, 1 and a green for the partner. And when the partner attacks, you create a food token, and then you buff. You put +1/+1 counters on things when it connects or when a food token gets sacrificed. I forget exactly which one. Let me go to my Play Nice, courtesy of Mike Schmidt.
Shout out one of our sponsors.
Thanks, Mike. Love you.
No, that was a really fun moment too. I think me and Eric had a moment where somebody's writing on their hand, and they were like, I think Eric pulled out his phone and started entering his information in, and the guy asked him about it, and we were like chatting away with him, and we were like, yeah, if you want to record your game information and not lose it, this is a great place to put it in. And we're like, we are sponsored by this person, but even if we weren't, we'd be talking about this. But even if we weren't,
I did use the app before I was even sponsored by him. It's a phenomenal app if you like stat tracking. But yeah, anyway, the partners are not the important part. The important part is it's 5-color soup with like 1 or 2 spicy cards that kind of synergize with the partners. But overall, 5-color soup. And the last person in our pod is on Rocco, Cabaret Caterer, the one that is an ex-tutor from your library. My opening 7 isn't particularly exciting. It's a Burgie, a few lands, one of which is Ancient Tomb, a Mystic Remora, and I believe either a tutor or a piece of acceleration. Definitely a keepable hand in second seed, because it was my second 7, and just banking on a fish in this pod isn't that obscene. With 5-color soup and also Rocco and Magda. Rocco and Magda can have very creature-heavy draws, but they can also have very non-creature-heavy draws, and it kind of just depends. So having a fish with excess mana to pay into it to keep it around for a while, I'm like, okay, this is a reasonably keepable hand. We'll do this. At the start of the game, as soon as I let the fish hit the table, the Magda pilot starts the, okay, so we just never play into fish conversation. A little bit in a way that is a bit pushed, like a bit more, a little more aggro than average, I would say. I want to also clarify that later on into the match, that Magda pilot and I end up having a conversation and being like, he said something to me and I respond and I'm like, we have a back and forth where we both acknowledge that we're both a little bit neurospicy, and we were and our energy was just kind of butting heads with each other. So there were multiple points in the game where we kind of rubbed heads, but afterwards was chill. And he seemed like a very nice guy, especially outside the game. But he starts the never playing into fish conversation, which I respond with by showing the table, hey, I have this Ancient Tomb. This fish isn't going away. You can play around it forever and let the Magda pilot kind of win by just playing their game plan in a way that doesn't care about fish anyway. Or you can just play your stuff and stay on pace. People decide to play their stuff and stay on pace, which admittedly is not that much stuff. I think I got like 3 or 4 draws off the fish total, and kept it around for like 2 or 3 turn cycles. But get the fish, goes around, Magda develops really well, Raph and Mikey developed slowly, and the Rocco pilot also develops fairly well. It gets back to my turn, paper fish, rip a tutor. The tutor, in the meantime, while we were going around, I ripped a painted pact, and no one else had developed any draw engines. But there is notably a unlicensed thirst on Maga's board, so my trying to win with a breach has become nigh impossible. If I'm going through the full combo and I have excess cards, it's probably fine, or flash speed. But just tutoring for a breach and going from there is not super viable. So with my Diabolic Intent, I choose to tutor for my Thassa's Oracle, because I'm like, okay, this is a mid-range slot game, and the longer this goes, the better off Magda is, and Magda's just going to be able to rip tutors, rip through their deck for whatever they need. I'm like, I'm going to try and end this game quickly before people can do anything. So I get my Thoracle, it goes around again, Magda continues to develop, other people continue to develop slowly. Gets back to me, I try the combo, I pay for fish. No, I don't get to pay for fish anymore. But try the combo, get stopped by a red elemental blast out of Magda, and I go, okay, bummer, moving on. Goes around the table. Rocco tries to win. Rocco messes up their line, counts mana incorrectly. They end their position with green, any color, but that's what they have access to. It's like a Seiju as land drop, maybe a floating green or something like that off of a cradle, and then one of anything. So not enough to even try and, not enough to re-Rocco. No access. So they mess up their line, gets to Magda. Magda pushes a win. We interact with Magda's win, I believe in 2 or 3 different ways. So Magda's win gets stopped. Then it gets back to me. And I have this kind of fun line of Praetor's Grasp targeting the 5-color soup player, trying to get their Thassa's Oracle so that I can then use their Thassa's Oracle with my Tainted Pact that's still in hand to try the same win again. That player then rips their own Tainted Pact, looking for gas. They understand that if they're just going for a piece to stop me, they're just going to lose to someone else. They're not going to win the game, because they can just refire on the following turn. So they rip their Tainted Pact looking for additional gas, end up hitting a Nause, but the goal in this process is hit the gas while incidentally trying to exile the thing that I'm looking for. Luckily they don't do that, so I'm still able to Tainted Pact their Thassa's Oracle, put a Thassa's Oracle on the stack, and then it still gets interacted with. Mind you, we have interacted with 1 win, 2 win, 3 win, 4 win. This is the 4th win attempt on the stack, and no one else had any advantage engines. So I was pretty sure I'd be fine. Turns out I wasn't. That's Turbo, baby. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I got hardcore variance into the doesn't. So I get interacted with and fail. The 5-color soup is able to rip off an Adnaz on their turn, and turns out I was the last person we had enough interaction for, so his Naz resolves without any contest, and he finds a win. He almost gets messed with through a couple of weird interaction points, but he still gets there, ends up winning. So that was my semifinals. Very much just how it plays out sort of game. Nothing incredibly exciting.
Yeah.
But I did have some people come up to me afterwards and be like, "How did you manage to get the fish to like work?" With him being like, "Hey, we can just play around the fish." And I think the most important thing is pointing out how that hurts other people. Like, it's very much, if Magda gets to half the table all not play into the fish, Magda doesn't care. Magda just plays little dwarves that just say hee 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 hee. Crew my car. Hop in the car and make treasures. And just hang out. And they get disproportionately advantaged underneath the fish not being played into.
Right. Basically, get to take full... Yeah, because their game plan isn't turned off at all. I'll just tap my dwarves, pass every turn for 3 turns until the fish goes away. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like notable that you can almost like hear how people go about it when a fish hits the field. When people are pretty insistent on no one casting spells, it usually doesn't affect their game plan in the first place, and so they're pushing the game plan that they wanted, anyways, and they get to pull out ahead of it. But doing the thing, you get to do the thing that I do all the time with Rock Thraster. I'm like, this fish ain't going nowhere. It's staying the whole fucking game.
Look at this ancient tomb. I don't need this to go away. I can just go mana positive and pay into it.
Yeah,
it's like.
I'm sure you've done the same thing I do, Zeke, where I'm like, fish back? Like, guys, let's just do a fish back. I'm looking at all creatures for the next 3-4 turns.
Yep, exactly. Or there's situations, too, where it's like, I think it's notable, too, when people are like, oh, fish packed, then you should be a little bit like, what are you doing, though? What is your game plan? You're just playing creatures anyways? I think it's more so when people are like, hey, how are other people feeling? Because I've been in those situations, too, where it's like, I can feed this fish a lot. I don't have to. I have a dork and I have a mana rock. I could play both, but I don't need to. So I think when people are like open to discussions about it is more when you can work with them. But when people are like fish packed, definite, no question, that's where you should be a little bit more sus. Like you had a game where you played against somebody that was just like, it was just a statement. They were just like fish packed, and the other 2 players were like, cool, yeah, the one in Milwaukee.
Yeah, it was one of the like first larger tournaments that I ever like went to. I was playing farm at the time, and I land a turn 1 fish, and my farm opponent just very confidently says, "We're doing a fish pact," and the other people go, "Okay, I guess we are." And then my fish just sits there for like 3 turns doing fuck all, and I'm like, oh, I still won that game, I'll have you know. Because I got a Smothering Tithe out, and then ripped a wheel, and was able to put the wheel on the stack and talk my opponents into, in response to the wheel, rather than fucking with the wheel or my tithe, fuck with the OBM that was on board already. Because I put the wheel on the stack when OBM was in play. They're like, okay, tithe is bad. OBM with 21 triggers, probably worse. So let's deal with that.
Both you die too.
Yeah, exactly. One of them is like really dying, like die to damage, and one of them is, alright, how bad are his 7 cards?
Yeah, and I think the Smothering Tide is the worst, the one you die more to.
I don't know. They decided otherwise. But yes, fish packs. Give and take.
True.
Hi, girl.
All right,
yeah,
Zeke.
That's mine. Zeke, it's all you.
Yeah, take it away. Top 4.
Boil 3 champion.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
Come on.
Oh no. I had any idea.
Honestly, people should just watch the game. You should just check it out on Lango, YouTube. I don't know if we'll have it in the description, but
we will.
It's a hell of a game to watch. Yep, that's it. Don't want to talk about it.
That's it. No, yeah.
I think you have to at least talk through the nods.
No. Let's talk a little bit about it. But it's worth watching. So sit down. It definitely was like by far when I sat down, I feel like it was my most tense game, that at least that I sat down to, or at least my opponents were. But if you two know me, and if anyone's played with me, that's not generally how I roll. I start just yapping away and trying to break the ice and get people to relax a little bit.
You mean the fact we had to shoot this in 2 parts because you don't stop talking? Yeah. No.
Never yap. That's ridiculous.
Imagine players in this format, they like to hear the sound of their own voice.
It's just so pretty. It's so soft and soothing. You have to listen to it.
So we're starting moles. I'm first seat. It's Stacco, second seat, and then what is his name? Why I keep blanking on his name?
Damien?
Yeah, Damien. Damien on the soup, and then Rayhan, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. That's what her name was. Another farm player in 4th seat. I know Stacco's a faster farm build. I'm kind of just assuming that most of the farm I see at this point is more of the turbo kind of build. There's like some individuals that play the more control variant or even more mid-range variant, and I feel like I'm always anticipating those people. So I'm looking at first 7. Pretty good first 7. It's almost all the things I want for, except it doesn't have like a piece of interaction, like free interaction. It's this town, which is a bounce spell if people don't know. Gene Pollinator, which is a dork. Volcanic Island, Expedition Map, Flash Photography, Cradle, Ancient Tomb. So dork and Cradle feel in a good spot with stuff to do. Potential untapper to tutor for, a little bit of interaction in the sense that you have a bounce spell, but ideally if I had a counter spell in this hand, I like it a lot more. But I know if either one of any of these decks lands a turn 1 anything, I can copy it with the Flash Photography going into my turn 2. So I was like, this hand's cracked. This is exactly where I want to be in this spot. Obviously I don't give up that free info at the beginning of the game. I kind of sit and hum and haw at the hand longer than I would have if I'm just keeping the hand. But part of this game is we play poker, so you got to sell it sometimes. So yeah, keep that hand. Felt really good about it. I will probably mess up facts and say things that are not true here because my memory is like a goldfish. So that's why I said watch the game. That's what actually happened. What I talk about might have not happened.
Confirmed.
Is it lying if you forget?
Yes, actually.
That happened in our recorded game where I literally like did the thing and then we were like, oh yeah, I did just talk about this deal, and I was like, well, shit, I guess I won't do the thing anymore. All right, pass.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Okay, we're safe. Not a liar. Just a silly little guy.
Exactly.
Just a little whoopsie.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little whoopsie. It's okay. Got to develop turn 1 Cradle, Dork, Rog, Pass, which is a great spot to be in. I think Stacko develops... I feel like it's either... It's mana. He plays mana turn 1. Turn 1 from the soup is, I believe, also a ritual into an arcane signet or something like that. The other farm player develops a turn 1 Ristic, which is amazing for me. Got to Flash Photography, copy the Ristic going into my turn, and then just pass with the Ristic up. And I think I even just are immediately fishing for information too, with the Ristic. What does Stacko play? Does he play the turn 1 defense grid or is it turn 2 defense grid? I feel like it was the turn 1 defense grid. Or turn 2 defense grid into the Necro.
That sounds
Was it turn 2 D-grid and Necro?
Yeah, I think it was turn 2 D-grid and Necro. But for some reason...
I think that's true.
Yeah, I think I knew he was Turbo for sure, and I was not confident on what she was playing. So I think she lands the Ristic, and I immediately just start fishing for info. Like, what kind of farm are you? Do I feed your Ristic? Do I deny you triggers? Like, trying to just fish for information. And she does a great job at deflecting, but then I'm like, I get blunt to the point. I say, do you play a 0-drop creature? And she's like, well, yeah. And I'll go, okay, you're the turbo version. That's an easy answer. So yeah, I develop a Ristic as well. We go to Stacko's turn. He's like, well, you guys made this really hard on me, but I got a flight to catch, so here we go. And the game really just kicks off from this point on. He slams down a defense grid. And we're like, cool. Everyone passes the defense grid. We're like, all right, we're here. He follows it up with a Necro. Everyone passes on a Necro. He is tapped out at this point. I'm just egging him on, too, at this point. I'm like, you're going to full send the Necro, right? You surely get there. He fills to like 7 or 10 or something and passes. So defense grid pass. We're in that game. We're here. 5 color does nothing notable. Passes. The other farm player develops a fish. They're like, this is all I got. I got a fish. Passes. At this point, it's my turn. We kind of talks amongst each other, the other 3 players, not Stacko. What do we have for this? Like, how do we deal with this? What is our solutions to this? I show the only piece I have in hand, which is this town. Does basically nothing but bounce the defense grid on my turn when I wanted to. The 5 color deck shows a Beseju, so something to deal with the defense grid as well. And then the other farm player shows an offer. And I think they are transparent, or maybe they don't commit to it, but I think they both say that, like, this is all I have, right? Like, this is what we got. This is what we have to work with. So, knowing this information, I know either A, know what I need to play around, or B, know what we have to stop him, and it's not very good. So I know I need to dig deep and either get a bunch of interaction to stop this Necro push, or try to push myself. And turn 3 spot, it's not an easy way to push from this spot, by far. Like, I don't have a set line in my hand. I do have a finale. I have pieces. I know I can try to, like, assemble something and try to get there, but no matter what I'm doing, it's pretty dependent on what I flip into. Because I know I have a Biofam in hand. I know I have a Reducer. I know if I can get the Biofam and the finale off, if I can get both of them off with no interruption, I will have an Oboro at that point, and I will have to manually spin, but the odds are pretty in my favor at that point. So I'm like, looking at the pieces, it's very convoluted to get there. It involves casting Cloud of Fairies and copying multiple Cloud of Fairies to really kind of like make the pieces sing. So I'm looking at this. I know that I'm going to get pointed at as the threat for a little bit too with the defense grid, but at the end of the day, I'm not the person with the Necro or the defense grid up, so I have to push the lines and try to get away with murder as much as I can.
I'm just a little guy.
Exactly, I'm just a little guy. Start to do the Rock Thrust thing. Cloud of Fairies, untap mana. Also, I think notably, Stacko snapbacks my my Gene Pollinator, I think before, after the Necro. I think he does the Necro and then snaps my Gene Pollinator too, so I'm down a little bit of mana, which it was super unfortunate because it makes my lines a lot easier. Having basically like the 2 extra sources of mana being via the Cradle and the Gene Pollinator itself. But I do like a lot of very convoluted things with Cloud of Fairies and Omni Changeling, which Omni Changeling really came in clutch for me in that final round, being like a very cheap clone or a practically free clone because I was really pinched on blue sources. So being able to tap like the Cloud of Fairies and the Thrasios to pay for the blue sources of the clone really did wonders. But I'm kind of just dirtling it, doing the Rock Thrust thing, and then I put a finale on the stack for X = 2. And they're like, this is a problem. He's going for it. I still am sandbagging the Biofam in hand, and I could have tried to yap about it a little bit more, but at that point it's like, yeah, we're under a defense grid. I'm either pushing for it or we're losing kind of situation. The 5 color soup has the Beseju, but he's like, if I Beseju your Cradle, it's just straight up king making. And I kind of talked to him too. I'm like, hey, like, if you get back to your turn, do you have a win attempt you can put on the stack? And he's like, no. And he's like, so we're kind of having this conversation about like, if you're out of this game, like, find a way to not be out of this game, or what are you interacting for kind of situation. So he starts to talk with Stacko a little bit, and I think they made some arrangement about like wheeling and passing, so he gets to see another turn, and you disrupt all the cards from the other blue farm player. And, like, he's trying his best, too. He's even trying to convince me during my turn to, like, pay for Ristic Studies so she's not so fed. But it's like, I'm in a situation where I'm just screwed if I pass no matter what. So, like, I'm just going to feed. I already have a problem on board. I'm going to make another problem on board. So, like, how do you deal with a problem? You just become the problem yourself.
True.
So the other pivotal point comes when I put the finale on the stack. We talk about the Beseiju more. He decides that he's going to get another turn. He's going to potentially try to see more game. So he Beseijus the defense grid. The defense grid gets Beseiju'd. The other farm player uses the offer that we knew about. So now I've been offered. I'm okay with the offer. I don't have anything to back it up anyways in the hand at the moment. Notably makes me 2 treasures, which the blue pips were very... I needed the blue pips anyways, so I was, like, kind of okay with it. Would have been a win attempt, but it was okay with that side of it, rather than the Beseiju being used on my Cradle, too. So I was, like, okay with kind of seeing it out of hand. That happens. I developed the Biofam. I have green mana. I kind of just have to manually spin, kind of see what pieces I get into, too, because I'm thinking about what are my outs at this point. I can hit a Boro, and I can win. That's my big out. I hit a Boro, I win. I get any tutor, I win from a Boro. Or I notably have Flash Photography still in Yard. And there's a Necro. And my only problem is I don't have the 3 blue pips to be able to convert from that line, because I have to use the 2 blue to copy and then have a blue up to try to hit like a Flash Enabler. So I kind of just sit there and dirtle for a long time, just spinning, trying to get more outs, get more blue pips. Eventually it gets to a spot where I this town and bounce both the Omni Changeling and the Cloud of Fairies, and then just kind of keep dirtling in that way. And I forget what ultimately happens, but I set up a situation where I'm trying to convert the 2 blue mana and copy the Necro via Flash Photography, target my Cloud of Fairies for a copy, and then Flare of Duplication, trying to copy the Necro. And then this is where Stacko jumps in with a Chain of Vapor. Because of our hands being known and talked about in the game, he has a known swat, a known silence. But also at this point, I have flipped into a Pact of Negation too, to be able to fight a little bit on the stack. He ends up using the Chain on my Cloud of Fairies to try to pinch my mana, because I have just a Mox Diamond up. I have no other mana, just a Mox Diamond up, and I'm trying to, like... He's trying to pinch the mana, because even if I copy a Necro, like, 1 blue isn't really going to get me there unless I hit exactly Spirit Guide and Born. So he tries to pinch the Cloud of Fairies in that regard. I could have fought over it, but I was okay with it, because I got to just use the chain to my advantage and bounce both of the copies of Cloud of Fairies and then redo the Cloud of Fairies thing again. Copying a Necro. I think he was also worried that the other farm player was sandbagging a little bit harder, and they just weren't. They just didn't have anything for that. So I definitely was fortunate in that position. So we make more mana. I eventually get to a state. The big notable thing too, so he bounces the Cloud of Fairies. I have not the second mana to convert, but I'd been sandbagging a Chromox, so I just got to play the Chromox. Exile some random green card. I was waiting for a blue card, that's why I was sandbagging the Chromox too. So I just exile the Cabbage Man and then got to just play the double Cloud of Fairies. Eventually set up in a position where I have the blue that I need. I have the blue up and then enough, like a Cradle untapped, to be able to try to find a Flash Enabler and just send the Necro. So full send the Necro. End up not hitting either Born or Valley Flood Color, but I hit Worldly Tutor. I also knew earlier, just to backtrack, I had been taking Thrasios activations and still wasn't confident if I was going to do the Necro option, and I ended up bodying a Born upon a Wind, which felt like a risky point just because it's an out with the Necro, but also like I have to take my chances because the deck has so many outs. Like I was saying, if I hit Biofam or so many other things, I can just get there. But my one out in the Necro pile is a Worldly Tutor, and then I just have to figure out if I have enough mana to like re-crack the Worldly to get the card. The hand's like great. I have Snap, I have Veil, I have enough interaction to back it up. I just do the Necro thing. I Worldly for Valley Flood Caller, Flash in the Valley Flood Caller, Earthcraft, kind of go from there, and they're just good to call it and concede. That's it. And then I was embraced by my lovely team, which was very, very sweet. And looking back on the photos too, like in the moment it was just a rush of emotions, but looking back at the photos, it was very sweet and put a smile on my face.
Those are some really cool photos. I'm glad we were able to capture that moment like really well all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
And it's caught on video too. But I went back and watched the YouTube video to see the end. The whole thing is caught on video too, which is cool.
Yeah,
hell
super
yeah.
cool.
Get bum rushed, nerd.
There's also a photo of Erik just like holding my head.
Oh yeah. Like, yeah, buddy. Yep. No, it was great. It was super cool to. It was really fun watching that game because as soon as, like, from an outside perspective, as soon as most people on the team saw what the pod was, like farm, soup, we're like, okay, Zeke and Rogthras cook this pod because you just kind of sit there hanging out, being a little parasite, and then cook it. So that was very fun.
Oh, they even let me have the mat. This is the only thing I wanted the whole weekend. Going first day, just seeing it, I was like, that's all I want. I don't care about winning or anything. I just
the
want
little
this.
stack
Yeah.
Dude, that was actually brilliant. Like for playing it on the stream I really liked that.
Yeah, same.
Mm-hmm. No, we were Zeke and I were on our way out, and Zeke's like, getting this man out of a convention center is impossible. It's like herding sheep. It's like herding cats.
Midwest goodbye.
Same shit with both of you. Getting you out of the convention center is impossible.
It was Zeke's fault.
Herding cats. But
we'd always get closer to the door, and then you'd watch one person from the team. You'd watch one person tag the team just slowly start to sneak back towards.
Just like go straight to the back of the con center.
Who's the worst on the team at it?
Both of you. It's you two.
It's us two? I think
it's you two.
No, Erik knows too. We will walk out of the venue. Like, we will get out of the venue. And Eric's like, cool, we got it. And I'm like, oh, wait, 180.
Correct. And I said, don't do that. But anyway, because we got to go and we got to wrap up, Zeke goes back because he's like, hey, I have this one thing. So I'm like, all right, fuck. So we go back. He gets back there and he's like, Wayne, can I have this? And Wayne says, I don't know.
I'm like, can I buy it from you too? I'm like, can I buy this from you?
No, you ask him if you can have it, and he's like, I don't know, maybe it's for a cost or something like that. I'm like,
yeah, he's like, you can bid on it because that's what he was doing with some of them.
Yeah, and I go and I'm like, but Wayne, this is the Boyle 3 champion. And Wayne goes, yeah, I got it, you're right. And he gives him the mat.
And the trophy.
He's like, you can have it. He's like, you can have it, but you have to use it on stream. And I was like, okay, that's easy. I was already going to.
Mm-hmm. That's
got
true.
The trophy, the playmat, and walked away with it all.
You can't keep getting away with this.
It's very similar to how Rogthras plays. It already has it all, but it just wants a little more.
It just wants a little more. Just more. On the top.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. And wow, what a time it was. So thank you, everyone, for joining in. Appreciate everyone who listened to this marathon session.
The 3-hour podcast.
Yeah, definitely check in every Wednesday. We'll have something Monolith related up on the channel. Thank you to all of our sponsors for supporting us. We couldn't do it without you guys. And looking forward to jamming more games. Thanks, everyone.